I'm from Boone, Iowa originally, but I moved away for the military. I tried to be a ranger too, but they threw me out.
Yeah.
I had my intestines were outside of my body. And then I was like pleading with them to keep me in, and they wouldn't keep me in. But I tried to be a ranger, but I was infantry, like your dad.
Dude, that's sick.
Yeah, I got the infantry tat.
That's
I got this
awesome.
one too. I don't know if you get this on camera one there, but
man,
I got those on the same day from this Iranian dude in Memphis, Tennessee.
Oh, that's awesome. Dude, respect to you infantry guys, bro, because you guys are the ones that are actually out there on the front lines, like, actually fighting, you know.
Did he deploy anywhere?
So he deployed to Iraq, like, 2003, like, right after the Twin Towers.
Yeah.
So, and he was there, I think, for, like, 18 months. He was, my dad was an E7 platoon sergeant, so he was there with, like, 40 guys, and he was, like, the platoon leader when he was over there, so...
Yeah, like I went over in 2007. So isn't that crazy how, just like that connection, like he was just there in 2003.
And then you were also in Iraq.
And then I was in Iraq 2007 to 2008.
Dang.
Yeah. So it's like, who was he with? What division?
He was with the 101st Airborne.
He was at the 101st.
Yep.
That's what I was with.
Yep.
That's so funny. Welcome to TOEHOLDyou. Got a cool episode dialed up today. Got my buddy Jake Bauer, MMA fighter, Myriad Submission Fighting owner, and jiu-jitsu competitor, and moving company extraordinaire as well. Got the shirt on.
Yes.
I also got a new friend of mine, Chance Cretsinger.
Close, yeah.
Cretsinger. No, I knew it after I said it.
Yeah, it's a weird one.
Yeah, so like, we've been talking lately, kind of on phone and on socials a lot, and you are involved in the MMA scene in a big way here. I only know you as Chance the Milkman.
Yeah.
So that's your Instagram, right?
Yeah, the Milkman MMA, I think.
Yeah. And so I kind of read, I think you made a post about like the origins of that, but we'll get into that. And also your Evo Fight Team.
Oh yeah.
And you just trained Ago for his last fight. Ago Huskick.
Something like that. I know it's
the Bosnian fucking dragon.
Oh, it's a dog.
And he fucking won against a tough UFC vet and bare knuckle MMA. And so we're gonna talk about that a little bit too. But you've been getting more into like training fighters, and you're not fighting anybody right now.
I was thinking about it, but now it's like I'm kind of enjoying vicariously living through the other guys more and kind of helping develop them in a way, you know?
Yeah, it's like I kind of got more into competing lately, knowing that at some point I'm going to start just coaching. I would like to get more into coaching like MMA fighters, and I'm actually having to like upskill myself in some of these grappling scenarios where like Phil Lumley and I were talking about it, who, if you get the chance, he's at the gym today, you should come and pop in. But obviously he's a really, I call him a world-class brown belt in terms of his skill level.
You mentioned him,
yeah, and he has done MMA, and he was helping me out with like, okay, just add the dilemma of strikes. And I was like, oh, this makes sense. So sometimes just one word, one discussion like helps me make sense of it. But like basically you have striking, and when you can add strikes from all the different positions, which I did MMA enough to at least know that.
It modifies things.
Yeah, it modifies things. But then him saying the dilemma word was like, oh, now we can just set up, it's like a third wheel of our grappling, where normally I'm making people run two opposing defenses, and I'm dilemmaing them almost with everything. Maybe it's either a submission with another submission, or it's a submission with a position advancement with a position like you're always dilemmating something. And like adding strikes is like a third wheel to that. Then that kind of unlocked my mind. Yeah. But reason we're a good connection is I want to talk to you more about like helping these fighters get ready. I helped Ago get ready for 2 of his fights. He brought me in just because he was facing somebody that does leg locks, and he was worried. And then we exited him right in those matches. He just did the plan. I yelled at him to remind him, and he just exit. He's so coachable.
I know, it was like a video game yelling.
Yeah,
he'd do it.
Yeah, so I want to start just like, let's get into that like Ago thing and that experience there. But let's start just like a little intro on you guys, a little bit about your background. I'll have Jake start just like where you're from, how you got into martial arts, all that shit. So
So Yeah, so growing up, my dad was in the military. My dad was a Army Ranger, infantry. So yeah, when I was young, we were always moving around. Um, like before we moved up to Iowa, we were living in Louisiana. So we were down there in the South, and then in 8th grade, moved up to Iowa, and then he retired here. So I've been living in Ames since 8th grade. I'm 29 now, so it's about like 15 years that we've been in Iowa.
Ames is a great town, man.
Dude, I love Ames, bro.
I love
like,
Ames too.
Such good vibes there. Like college town. You know, it's not too big, not too small.
When you say good vibes, like they just have some good architecture, some neat neighborhoods. It's not like one of these little suburban blah blah blah. It's like a real main street. They got they have nice parks. They have just a lot going on. So
yeah, I think like since it's a college town, they have a lot of funding to like upkeep the city. Like they're always, like you said, putting new parks in, new buildings, new apartments. But yeah, I love Ames, dude. It's a great town. And yeah, and then I guess so. How I got into martial arts. So the first gym I ever walked into was a jiu-jitsu gym. So I didn't know anything else before. I never wrestled, never did any kind of striking or anything. Just walked into a jiu-jitsu gym one day to just kind of see what was up. Like I was always kind of interested. But I never really knew that there was like a sport and like teams that were actually like orchestrated and organized, and you could show up every day and learn in like a class
yeah.
way.
Or to even think that that's a type of fighting, really just to wrap your head around that.
Right.
All the fighting that happens without the strikes that we see in street fights and this and that.
Yeah.
There's a science to all that. There's an art to all of it,
Absolutely. And I think, yeah, like a lot of people don't even know about the ground arts, especially back then. It was like 2013 or something like that.
Yeah.
So especially at the time, it was like jiu-jitsu was still like, it was nowhere near as big as it was today.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I went in there thinking it was like some kind of like striking art. And then I just saw the guys, they were doing like judo throws and arm bars. And yeah, I just remember like from the first day seeing it, I was like, dude, I just felt like I had to learn it. I don't know. It was just something I was like, if this is here in my town, it's kind of just up to me like to get in there and, start learning this. Yeah, so I started with jiu-jitsu, got in, started training a lot, probably trained for maybe 2 or 3 years. And then I started doing some MMA and like some kickboxing as well. I think I actually started a round kick Muay Thai for a while there, and then I transferred over to MMA and started doing a lot of MMA stuff. But yeah, I love the martial arts, dude. It's like
You just had your second pro fight.
Yep, second pro
your
fight.
First pro win, 1-1.
Correct.
At ACL, which we had Victor Moreno on here talking about that card and whatnot. So
I love Vic, dude. Great dude.
Yeah.
I love Vic.
Yeah. So yeah, that was fun. He gave me some tickets so I could watch ringside of you finishing your opponent off, and that whole night of fights was fucking amazing.
Dude, that was a great night.
Talk about your teammate having this fucking bloody war.
That was intense.
I wasn't ready for that. So then I learned who that dude is, Luis, right?
Yep, Luis Guillen. Yeah, that was crazy, bro, because it was like, 10 seconds in, he got cut with that elbow.
Yeah.
And, like, that's one of the things.
He's a dog.
He's a dog.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of those things you never want to happen.
Well, like,
but
I went to these fights and I learned some new dogs in town. I was like,
I know.
follow. I was like, who is this guy?
Yeah. But, yeah, for being their second event for ACL, like, the production and everything was great. The show ran smooth. Mm-hmm. The lighting and everything in there with the lights and the walkout.
He came back and won with a rear naked choke in a blood-soaked match against another real vet of the fighting game, that Manny Colon.
Yep.
And I think I've seen him fight a few times. He's been around for a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And to finish him with a rear naked choke, and a lot of that too, when he went to the ground, it's funny because he had this advantage, but he's more of a striker. Mm-hmm. And so I learned more about what you guys were doing there in Ames and what you guys were building there at Myriad, and that kind of ultimately led to me learning more about Chance here too. But like, you guys are coming in and mixing things up where he had such good ground game, probably from working with you guys, that he threw an RNC in the second round,
Yep. I think towards the end of the second round.
And he was soaked in blood. It was one of those where you'd think they'd stop the fight.
Yep.
You know, but he comes back like a savage, and I think the blood helped him slip the choke in. You know, it's like, and Manny's hair, which was blonde, turned pink.
Turned pink by the end of it.
By the end of it, so it was one of those matches, and for him to come back and win that one with a submission, and then you were going against somebody who I didn't know who it was, but he had these high-level jiu-jitsu guys in his corner.
Mm-hmm.
That surprised me too. I didn't even know he was training with those guys at Breaking Point.
Yeah,
tough.
And so then I was like, oh shit! But then you beat him with striking, and you've been working with Luis, so it's like, I think people aren't understanding how much of a dangerous mix and match is going on. They're at Myriad, but also in the community at large, like all this kind of cross training of where college wrestlers are now hanging out with jiu-jitsu guys who are hanging out with MMA guys, and the wrestlers are helping doing wall grappling for the cage, and like, I feel like it's just getting good around here. I've been here in Des Moines. I moved here end of 2021.
Yep.
I'm from Boone, Iowa originally, but I moved away for the military. I tried to be a ranger too, but they threw me out.
Yeah.
I had my intestines were outside of my body. And then I was like pleading with them to keep me in, and they wouldn't keep me in. But I tried to be a ranger, but I was infantry, like your dad.
Dude, that's sick.
Yeah, I got the infantry tat.
That's
I got this
awesome.
one too. I don't know if you get this on camera one there, but
Man,
I got those on the same day from this Iranian dude in Memphis, Tennessee.
Oh, that's awesome.
Dude, respect to you infantry guys, bro, because you guys are the ones that are actually out there on the front lines, like actually fighting, you know.
Did he deploy anywhere?
So he deployed to Iraq like 2003, like right after the Twin Towers.
Yeah.
So, and he was there, I think, for like 18 months. He was my dad was an E7 platoon sergeant, so he was there with like 40 guys, and he was like the platoon leader when he was over there. So
Yeah, like I went over in 2007. So isn't that crazy how just like that connection, like he was just there in 2003.
And then
when
you
they
were also in Iraq?
invading, and then I was in Iraq 2007 to 2008.
Dang.
Yeah. So it's like, who was he with? What division?
He was with the 101st Airborne.
He was at the 101st?
Yep.
That's what I was with.
Yep.
That's so funny. It's a big division. There's like 30,000 soldiers in the 101st, but
Yep.
or at least on Fort Campbell.
Yeah, that's so cool. Yeah, we were stationed at Fort Campbell before Louisiana. So I spent like 3 years at Fort Campbell growing up.
What years?
So Fort Campbell, it was like
In the 90s.
it was fifth, sixth. So in Louisiana we did fifth, sixth, seventh. So it was like second, third, fourth grade.
Yeah.
In Fort Campbell.
Yeah, I was stationed on Fort Campbell. Then when I got married 3 days before deploying.
Oh wow,
Oh, man.
that's cool though.
Yeah, I got
Dude,
married
Fort
at
Campbell was a
21.
really nice army base. We loved it there.
But then we got off base housing so when I came back, she'd already set up the townhouse for us and stuff like that.
Nice.
Yeah, she had to deal with my crazy ass when I came back to fucking 14 months, 400 combat missions.
Dude,
Then yeah,
that's a long 14 months too.
Yeah.
was your dad like pretty on edge and came back too? Do you remember that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't know. Maybe we just didn't notice it. I think my dad's kind of one of those guys who he's good at like controlling his emotions, or you don't really tell.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been a couple of times where he kind of almost went into talking about some of the stuff that they did over there, but honestly, even to this day, like I want to ask him about it, but I've never really gotten the chance to actually dive into like what they were doing over there and
For
stuff.
me, it wasn't about like you'd think I was fine, you know, but I was like my heart was like fucking skipping beats nonstop. That's what actually got me into meditation and like the spiritual path too, because we didn't have. I didn't know about all these newfangled like plant medicines and shit back then, but like I just knew meditation was helping me a lot. So like that was the beginning of my like real spiritual path. Like I was having to do breathing exercises. I learned that by breathing, because it was more just like manifesting in rage. You know, I would just get fucking red hot rage. You know, and then it's like, but yeah, I'd be having the nightmares and the teeth grinding at night, grinding my teeth almost off my fucking skull, and then just that. And then it's like, again, you wouldn't know anything's wrong, and I wouldn't even maybe say anything's wrong, but it's just like
Keep it
rage was there all the time, And like that was teaching me like a lot of lessons about how dumb it is to be like an angry person, but like it's in here, it's in this channel here, and I would be able to breathe it out and stop getting road rage after a few years. Just stayed on that path and tried to like deal with whenever you're getting these emotions come up. That's what's so funny about people being triggered. Because whenever you get these emotions coming up in your body, understand those belong to you. You can handle them. You can do something like you can breathe them out. Like it's teaching you something, you know, like whether you're worried for a fight or this and that. Like, but like, yeah, I don't know if he had any like red hot rage or anything, but like that was the only way it was like manifesting for me.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think like, yeah, especially just like as a man, you know, it's like, you know, I feel like we just have this thing where even if we are going through things or emotional stuff, it's like you never want to, you know, talk about it. Yeah. You know, it's one of those things that's super hard. But yeah, I think my dad, like, yeah, he kind of has like, I would say like a switch. Like he can get like not like a temper, but yeah, he can get like hot, like angry, and it's weird. Like certain things will trigger him, and like I feel like he kind of just goes into this mode, like back like into this army mode, like if certain things or topics are brought up. But yeah,
and it's crazy full circle too, because Brian's actually going to be recording this too, and I'm a little worried about it. I've done a lot of public speaking, but this would be my first suicide prevention awareness speech, but I'm doing it at Fort Des Moines on Tuesday.
Oh, that's great, dude.
So I've been like getting ready for that, and that all came out of like those man rants, and I call them man rants.
Yeah.
But like men are killing themselves at such a high rate. I lost my friend who I joined the military with, and he actually went on to be a ranger like your dad, and he went to be Ranger Recon, and he was just deep, did 7 deployments.
Oh my gosh.
But you know, I did a video like talking about that and having nightly phone calls with him and blah blah blah, and like it was like, so just putting myself out there more, which like I started wanting to kind of had this theory that like the future belongs to personal brands. And I think I talked to you about this, Chance.
Yeah.
And it's like, look at that show that Ago just did.
Yeah.
What was the name of it?
Game Bread, and he had the shirts, gave them out to everyone.
Yeah, and what is that? That's his personal brand. Personal brand. Right?
Smart.
So like I see the future as belonging to that, and so I've been making rants, and then had a bunch of feedback from some people that I trust that's like, hey, put more of yourself out there, just bring your whole self. And I'm like, all right. So I started doing like military post or something about my buddy that died, and like other things, like just put my whole self out there and be more vulnerable. So like I made one too, like we need to be vulnerable in front of each other, like, but guys are killing themselves at like 4x the rate of women, and the society's not helping at all.
They're not even addressing it.
They're not addressing it, and it's also like you can't have a men's rights issue. You can't have a men are especially white men. We're only oppressors. We're not actually. So like society's message is also masculinity is toxic.
Yep.
Blah blah blah. So I like to play with words too, just like these fuckers.
Yep.
So I'm just like stay toxic kings at the end of my videos, which people are like, why are you telling guys to be assholes, this and that? I'm like, well, we can just be our full selves, our light and our shadow, you know, just be who. Isn't that what like all the other groups are like? We just were born this way. Let us be. And so I started being like, we're alpha males. Stop discriminating against strong men.
Yeah.
We need it now more than ever.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's crazy too, because it's like the toxic masculinity or whatever they want to call it is like, 20, 30 years ago, it was just like the normal. It was just like the standard.
And not only that, but
taboo.
I used to have a wrestling coach, and he would say, it's so funny. He's a super old guy, and this is back in my high school years, so like late 90s, early aughts, but he'd be like, back in the day when men were men and women were proud of it. I feel like a lot of women are seeking strong male leadership too. Like I got so much, I didn't expect when I made these videos that the support from women would be there too, which is crazy. Of course.
Oh yeah.
I got unfollowed for making, woke mind virus video and all this other shit.
There's going to be those people.
I got unfollowed over time. Oh, I dropped this many with that last video and this and that. I probably lost like 30.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of woke people on there too, because I'm a vegan, so it's like, oh, like another vegan.
Yeah.
And a lot of overlap there with the wokeism, just in that kind of left kind of group, But it's funny because, I gained, I doubled my follower count though, but I lost a few. But like just putting your whole self out there.
Yep.
was like really important, and not being afraid of saying the wrong thing, because who gives a fuck? Like, let's put our hearts in the right place. Let's speak with I keep saying, let's speak with an open mind, open heart.
And
you can't go wrong.
Yeah, and that's freedom of speech right there. You know,
freedom of speech.
That's the biggest. That's what makes America. Yeah.
And that's the foundation of all our other rights. I made a video on that too.
You lose freedom of speech, it's just a downward spiral from there. And yeah, like you said, it's like, even if you don't agree with what somebody's talking about or speaking about, it's like, okay, then just, you know, don't watch that video. You know what I mean? Like, even there's a lot of people that make videos or talk about things that I don't agree with, but it's like, I would never want to tell them they can't speak about it or try to shut it down, you know.
We learn from martial arts too, like, to be more open-minded, wouldn't you say? So like,
everything
for us, and like I was saying earlier too, like, this is why there's more people following conspiracy theories, so-called, or other things like in martial arts, but it's like they're also a lot more into spiritual practices. They're more into this and that. They're more open-minded because we learned how to always constantly challenge our assumptions. We're always breaking down and killing the old version of us, the old way we used to do this. And I can tell you from working a corporate job that people out in the world, like, that's a 1%er type way of thinking, just always improving, open mind, this and that. But we do need more people like that. But like, being able to just speak freely is the foundation. Those fucking forefathers put that first for a reason. Those guys were like the best. Like, we have founders of companies and
geniuses.
Talking about all-time best founders, like geniuses.
And I think a lot of people in America, like, we've been so lucky and like so spoiled, and we've gotten so soft that I think a lot of people forget, bro, that we've only been a nation for 240 something years. Like, really, that's not even that long. And I think people think that, like, our freedoms are, like, guaranteed, like, forever. No. But that's not the case.
Yeah, like, in fact, shit hits the fan real quick.
Shit hits the fan, and I think, like, from me going to Iraq, I will just tell you, like, we're not... Shit can happen on a dime, and I would tell people that as soon as I came back. Fast. And they'd be, like, all privileged, like, none of that can happen here. I'm like, no. If things get bad enough, you're going to eat your fucking neighbor. You know, you don't understand.
Survival of the
like,
fittest.
Because Iraq was better than fucking North Korea, and this was
North Korea is terrible.
And so, like, if things get bad enough, you don't know that the animal that lives inside of you, and a lot of these fake woke idiots, they don't embrace their shadow because they try and just bypass it all the time and act morally superior all day.
Nature.
But like, if they would actually, you know, tie into their own human nature that's in there, and understand like what would happen under these circumstances, we've been so privileged, like
privileged,
so fucking privileged, and that then gives rise to people just debating on word games and being woke idiots. Like, it gives rise to that, because arguing over shit that doesn't matter, because they've just been weak times make weak men.
Yep.
And those hard times, or excuse me, you know.
What's
the quote?
The famous quote.
Something like that.
Yeah, hard times make hard men. Yeah. Hard men make good times. Mm-hmm. Good times make weak men.
Yep, exactly.
And then weak men make hard times.
Hard times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we're seeing too, is like a lack of leadership.
Yep.
A lack of that role that used to be filled.
Yep.
Everything in, like I said before, everything in the animal kingdom, everything, like, there's roles and responsibilities. In a beehive, in a bunch of gorillas, there's an alpha, there's a this, there's a that.
Yep.
Like, it's been like an ongoing campaign, I think, to silence men.
Absolutely.
And to feminize men. And we're just trying to be ourselves just like everyone else, but we're toxic, we're this, we're that.
Yep. Yeah, and I think
they're scared of us, that's why.
They're scared of us, exactly. Like, if you look at the enemy's point of view, I mean, we're supposed to be the greatest nation on earth. And of course, there's our enemies that want to, take down America. Like, this has always been a thing, but
real world stuff.
Like we were saying, a couple of strong men can just write the Declaration of Independence and take on the biggest military in the fucking world. They fucking did that. A couple of dudes got together in coffee shops.
Like legends.
Now they would like these people not to be talking freely. That's why Papa Elon spent $44 billion on Twitter
for freedom of speech.
And now that's like having an impact.
Yeah, a huge impact. Like, that was amazing. But I still see people on the other side, like, they don't understand what Elon's doing. Like, they have a negative view on it, and it's like they don't understand the crucialness of Elon doing something like that and opening up the whole new door of allowing us to have that freedom of speech.
Yeah.
And
I have a Rumble channel just in case I'm canceled on here.
I've got one as well.
Yeah.
I
But-
haven't got the Rumble yet.
I don't know what I'm going to say because I'm always being myself.
Uh-huh.
Like, I bring my whole self. I'm
But even like these
open-hearted,
topics that we're
open-minded.
discussing right now,
None of this should be controversial. I'm not
Exactly.
big enough for YouTube to notice and cancel me yet. But, like, I have the Rumble channel going.
yep, just like Russell
They
Brand.
control, and the government, we found out through Elon buying Twitter, the government actually is involved in this, like, censoring online.
Oh,
Yep,
yeah.
through Facebook, Twitter, you know, especially like especially for me, like COVID woke me up to a lot of pretty much all this stuff. Like that was the beginning, because I never really followed politics closely or anything like that. But then
COVID was
when COVID hit, it was just so clear to me that there was just none of it made sense. There was a lot of lies going on, and that's when I really started to follow and pay attention. And yeah, it's crazy. I think for those of us that are awake and we understand what's happening, you know, there's some very bad things happening to the country, some very scary things. And for me, at least, one of the scariest things is like I know a lot of people, good friends, just people in the community, that they're totally oblivious to a lot of the things that are happening. And to me, that's one of the scariest things, because I think our country's under attack through very like strategic methods, like, you know, using this woke ideology to bring it into the school systems and, you know, cut men down, tell them they're not allowed to be strong men, just things like that. And, you know, it sucks too, because people on that side, they get on there and they think that they're doing the right thing, like, you know, fighting for like civil rights and equal, like with all that stuff, but they don't understand. Like, I think a lot of these things are being pushed like for a specific reason, and it's kind of like our enemies trying to infiltrate our country.
100%. And it's not that hard to connect these dots if you actually look at it.
If you start paying attention.
But people's brains will start, they don't want to. What I realized when I came back from Iraq and I'd have these conversations with people, they didn't want to get out of that comfort zone.
Because it takes bravery to understand and face the reality of what's happening, right?
Like we learned to get comfortable being uncomfortable in jiu-jitsu. Again, as jiu-jitsu grows, it's almost like you're growing more and more people that start to learn some of these lessons.
Yeah.
Like jiu-jitsu's almost taught me everything I need to know in life, you know?
Absolutely.
And,
I mean, the benefits from jiu-jitsu are just endless, you know?
Yeah, exactly. You know, but definitely in terms of the lessons and learning to just like be uncomfortable with a hard reality that may be in front of you.
Yeah.
You know, but like, definitely people are, you can see that they just immediately get uncomfortable when you start to bring these things up, and they go, I'm just going to go watch the mainstream news and get the propaganda again so I can feel all calm again. I can just feel like the world makes sense again.
Yeah.
Like living in a false reality. And that's the
Matrix.
problem.
Yeah.
The Matrix. Because the mainstream media, any of the mainstream media outlets, it's all propaganda. It's all lies. Like if you want to know the real news nowadays, you have to follow the independent news people like Russell Brand or any of these independent people who are just doing independent media. Like any of the mainstream is like, but then, you know, especially I feel like the older generation in our country, a lot of those people are still watching the mainstream.
Oh yeah.
And sadly, they're still buying into a lot of it. But yeah, once you see what's going on, it's so obvious that the mainstream media is just controlled by these large corporations and elite globalists or whatever you want to
They made like an entire false reality.
Exactly.
And when you said they're cutting men down and spreading propaganda in the schools, I was like, I almost said literally they're cutting men down too, but you know,
literally,
all of a
like
sudden,
actually literally, and not men,
joke.
boys, young boys.
But that's what gets me off of YouTube is saying that, you know, that'll probably be the comment that ends me on YouTube. Fuck you, anyways. You know, that's why I got this. Well, they didn't even mention, but like, that's in case somebody would have killed me in Iraq. That guy could have said "fuck you" for me, in case I was too dead.
That's awesome.
In case I was too dead to say anything, because I heard a story about somebody that as they were dying, the last thing they had energy for was to flip off the guy that shot them. Before I went over, so I got these before I went over.
Savage.
Yeah, so it's just like, you know, that's my attitude, and if more dudes had that attitude, you know, people are like, oh, I'm gonna lose my job or this that. Like they're controlling you.
They're controlling everything.
They're controlling you.
Yeah.
Dude, and that's why I love what you've been doing lately in the last like few weeks or months or however long it's been, about you like speaking out about the masculine issues and all these different things, because like I think there's a lot of us who we're all on the same page. We all understand what's happening, and like the thing is though, is a lot of guys are afraid to speak out about it because of like backlash or like people not following you on Instagram, like,
Yeah.
and, you know, and that should never happen. It's like,
It's funny because once I started being my whole self even more, then the people that weren't for me just drop out.
yeah,
And then all of a sudden a bunch of people that are with me find me, and we can all then get to the real conversations instead of arguing if the matrix is real or not.
Right.
We can get on to the real conversations.
absolutely. And then you encourage other guys, I think, to want to speak up as well, and just, you know, get that courage to stand up to it. So I think the more of us that, you know, stand up and start speaking out about it and representing ourselves the way that we should be, I think it's just going to
Let me
be
just
a snowball.
say this now, because I did want to say this at some point, but like dozens of messages from strangers or people I know well or whatever, like that just keeps me going. Like I appreciate that so much. Like I never knew. These are rants I make every day. I told my wife, I'm like, I rant like this every day. Might as well record that shit.
Right?
Yeah.
And same with this podcast, is I have conversations, cool conversations, whatever it is, all the time with people. Like I just start recording it. So, but that energy keeps me going, and like I'm overwhelmed by it almost, because people have even been saying shit like change their life and stuff like that, and I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah.
But one little candle gives permission, and then they give me that energy back, and the fire burns hotter and hotter, and like this is why free speech is dangerous to them.
Yeah.
Because one person says something that basically, you know, Joe Rogan starting a podcast was almost like a Nexus event on the timeline.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know, because it's just like
You
one
know they
person
hate
just starts
Joe
saying
Rogan's
whatever they
podcast.
want, and then they become uncancelable. And I learned that lesson too. Like, as long as I just keep being my whole self, probably YouTube won't actually cancel me. If I'm not just like nonstop spouting nonsense and hate and vitriol and stuff. Like, if they understand where we're coming from. But
Yep.
like, you're not gonna win over the wokies just by being like, oh hey, you know, this and that. But like, the love I've been getting has been overwhelming. And like Brandon Hartman, I want to shout him out because
Close enough.
yeah, we can cut that now. We'll leave it in. But so basically, he was like not saying he wouldn't let me not take his money. So he's like trying to give me like a few $100. I was like, dude, what the hell? Then I was like, no, just keep money this that. And then he insists. I took the money, and I told him I'll put it towards some wall art. So we got like this wall art up here now.
Nice. Oh, like
so,
he
like,
just donated money for the podcast.
Yeah, like I've had a
That's
few
awesome.
people ask. So like, I guess I'll start a Patreon. You know, like maybe it'll be up by the time this publishes. I don't know. Like I'm kind of looking at working on it. But like that energy feeds back in, and then I can keep having these conversations, and like
Yeah.
it just inspires me, not just to keep building the podcast, but it just inspires me as a person. And then like we're all inspiring each other. Like I see you're out there cornering a fight, or you're out there training for a competition. Maybe my ass is on the couch that day or something. Like we're all inspiring each other. Like
Yeah.
yeah, we're all like, instead of me calling you privileged or something like deflecting, like I go, oh yeah, I should be doing some stuff, or you know, it's cool. We're all motivating each other. Like I said, from the Joe Rogans to the this and that. That's why the free speech is so dangerous. One
Yep.
person starts talking,
Yep.
boom, they set it off, and then a bunch of people start talking. Now I get this energy coming back to me. People want to even give me money, and saying things like crazy things. Like I had somebody like, oh, I was sharing these with my kid, and it helped them a lot. I was like, what videos? And it wasn't even ones I would expect. So it's like crazy.
Yeah.
We all need to just start making more content and bullshit.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially when you see somebody at the local level that you know, because there's a lot of influencers online, or when you see somebody in your own community that's willing to step up and speak about any of these topics, like it's very powerful, I think.
Yeah, because people don't realize that they've created an angry mob.
Oh
Yeah.
Like,
that trickle down.
yeah, like, you know, my wife was worried about it. Like, they think that they're on the side of peace and
Right.
love, but like, we know that like they're doxing people, they're doing this, they're doing that, and like,
Yeah.
I had to like up my game a little bit. I'm like, don't worry, I'm gonna teach you, you know, this point and click technology of a shotgun and this and that, other things. Like, this is an angry, mentally disturbed mob of people. It's not left or right. It's just they've been spun up into the matrix. And
I
they'll
feel like
take their
it's-
marching orders from wherever.
Yeah, I feel like it's gone beyond the left or right now. It's almost like Americans who are just, we're all fighting for our freedoms and to keep
Always
our
been
country.
a nation of freedom. Always been a nation of rebels.
Exactly. It's like
Both
beyond left or
sides
right
suck
now.
anymore. It seems like it's like always.
Yeah.
100%. I'm gonna diverge a little bit just because, you know, that's the cool thing about this podcast. Like I told you guys, we just go in when our brain starts going in on something because that's a real conversation. Otherwise, it'll be all robotic.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
now I circle back and I get to ask Chance more about his background, and then maybe that'll lead to a bunch of nonsense conversation too.
Yeah.
That'll get us canceled more.
Oh, yeah.
Cancel
let's
me,
go.
baby.
Let's go.
Cancel me
Cancel
harder.
I'm
us.
on it.
I
Now
love
that
it.
we have a UFC champion that can't be canceled,
Yeah,
like every little person just
yeah.
saying shit,
adds up.
it just adds up.
Adds up. Our
The
team is
game's
building.
over.
Team Truth is on the
Yeah.
rise
Listen,
right now.
this is the end game for the elites. They know that. Anyways, I'll just throw that in. This is the end game. Chance,
Yeah.
let's talk about your end game. Let's talk about you a little bit.
All right. Yeah, so I started fighting, or when I was like 13, 14, that's when MMA was kind of starting to show up, you know. And I was watching, or I remember being at Blockbuster with my dad, and I saw this like UFC rent-a-video thing, and it had like George St. Pierre on it. I wanted to rent it. My dad said no. It's like, they break bones and shit like that. So I'm like, oh, okay. And I was also really tiny and nerdy back in the day, so I got beat up almost every day. So I kind of looked up to a lot of the fighters, and I was looking up more and more videos every day. And every school project I did when I was in high school was about MMA. And I even did one about like Des Moines MMA Academy, and I was around, you know.
Yeah, I
Porcel-
remember like the old Des Moines MMA.
Yeah, I remember the address to this day because it's like 609 Euclid Avenue. And that's what I would tell people when they asked where I was training when I wasn't training there. Like I was kind of making
You're a
it up.
huge fanboy of MMA.
Oh, yeah. I was
That's
wearing
crazy.
tap out, you know, every day. I tried to act like I was a fighter when I really wasn't at the time. I was kind of, you know, like I got beat up bad back in high school. I had like this long curly hair, and I remember this one dude was like throwing gum in it, like ripping it up. So it was all like matted all up around. But I had that bully mentality, so I'm like, oh no, he's just a friend.
Like, yeah, so you got bullied and shit. Yeah.
I remember one time, I don't even remember how it happened, but I did get jumped. And remember my leg was black, like I was leg kicked. This was when I was like 15. Yeah, my dad was wondering where that came from. I don't even remember. I think I don't know how it happened, but I know it was probably when I got jumped one of those days. And that was like a reoccurring situation. And I did, you know, that's why I really wanted to do MMA, because George St. Pierre used to get bullied back in the day. You know? That's why he started. So as soon as I turned 16, had my car, I went there. But you have to have a waiver, and my dad still didn't like MMA at the time. So I wasn't going. But I went there for a week, so Porcelli took care of me for that first week, and it got me hooked. And then I was telling Ago, like, because Ago and me started around the same time. So I used to be a weirdo on Facebook, and I'd creep, and I'd message people who I thought was going to be a good fighter. You know, because he had a face-off photo, you know what all the kids did back in the day.
He had that same
yeah
10,000-yard stare that he has now.
Yeah, and it's facing off with a friend in his backyard with those little
shit.
Everlast gloves.
Some of us were born savages, and some
He
of us
was
also
a
like
savage.
have that same kind of origin story of like we wanted to be, like we were getting hurt by something outside. And
Yeah.
We wanted to be tougher. We wanted to be stronger. We wanted to be good fighters. Like, but you can look at it as like a trauma response, and you can look at it as like a self-confidence booster, because martial arts will build you right up.
Yeah.
And I think anybody has the ability to build themselves. You know,
Yeah.
like you said, some people are just born with that, I would say, like natural like fire inside.
Yes.
Just
But I would
dogs.
say that any man, it's your decision to make. Like you can build yourself into a martial artist, even if you're, you know, like a weaker man, or you feel, you know what I mean? That's actually
Yeah.
the best reason to start training.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And so-
Anybody can transform themselves.
And that fire is called testosterone too.
Yeah.
We need to actually go
To build
We
off of
used to
that.
be fighting all the time. you go watch like little pups, like they're playing, like taking each other down. You know, you watch little cubs or whatever, little animals.
Yeah, fighting.
Like we need that outlet, and these people that were bullying you, that was their manifestation of their trauma.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, just a manifestation. As a kid, you don't know that.
Oh yeah, it's like
You just think, oh, I'm a piece of shit. You know, people don't like me and this and that. But
And man, look at the, you know, it's like you were getting bullied, you know, and you made the decision to start training, and then look at what became of it. Like years later, you're a professional MMA fighter. Like you could have went the other way and just accepted that, and you know, probably wouldn't have been a good route to.
well,
probably not. I was not good at school either.
we realized that a lot of these issues that we think we have, like in life, is thrown at us. It's kind of like the game. The game's throwing you ways to level up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like if you actually steer into your fears. I learned that lesson early, and so like I was steering into my fears hard. I was like, I'll go fight in Iraq. I'll go jump out of an airplane. I signed up to do that too because I was scared of heights. So what did I do? Jump out of an airplane 5 times. So like if you charge at your fears, that's actually where growth is on the other side.
Oh yeah.
It's almost like
That
rocket
mindset.
fuel is just like not just steer into random fears like I'm gonna go drive drunk or do something like
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
do like
that's-
dumb shit. You know, like, oh, I'm scared of if I can
Yeah.
you know jump off my roof or something, you know, dumb shit.
Everything new is scary.
But like it's all about our growth, and like the conversations we've been having too is like is growing the community around here. And there's
Yes.
some people that if they'll steer into their fear or their scarcity mindset or whatever, they'll look one way and they'll say this is creonch or whatever, you know, whatever that word is. Yeah, nonsense. And so
Absolutely nonsense.
something we've been
Everyone
talking a
can
lot
teach
about
you
is that
something.
everyone can teach you something.
And
I to this day learned
We're in
from
this
white
shell,
belts,
too.
and like that's another lesson you learn
Yeah.
in jiu-jitsu that people could apply in life. They go, oh, the leading scientists all told us this, and it's like, did you know that everybody knows something?
Oh
Like,
yeah.
did you know that, you know, like you can't just shut somebody down? Like you were surprised when you saw me at a class, you said you'd never seen a black belt in a class take a class.
Yeah, that was amazing, bro.
Dude.
Like I went to Henzo's, and yeah, you just popped in one day for a normal like morning class,
Yeah, I
and
still
like
do.
yeah, but that's an issue I believe with like a lot of black belts out there is like they get lazy, like they get their black belt and then they just kind of hide behind it, and they're like, oh, I'm good now. Like
They
I
don't
don't have
go
to do any
compete or
competitive
nothing.
training. I don't need to learn anything else from anybody, and that's in my opinion, that's the wrong way to look at it, because then like you should always be a student of the game.
The game's growing faster and faster now.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
always
it's
evolving, new
evolving everywhere.
moves,
So
new
like the
sequences.
only way to get on with any topic, people go, oh, I went to college and I studied this or this. Like
Yeah.
jiu-jitsu teaches you the body of knowledge is moving. It's moving in jiu-jitsu faster than anything in MMA
Yeah.
because we don't have patents on shit.
Right.
So in the
Oh,
the corporate
yeah.
world has nothing on it. Like Silicon Valley looks like a dinosaur compared to the innovation going on in our area, you know,
Yeah.
in martial arts. Because everybody just steals nonstop from each other. And we all learn from each other.
Yeah, and
awesome.
everybody gets better.
And
Yeah.
a lot of
You
these
know?
black belts would be exposed because they haven't kept up.
Yeah, and they know that they would be
They know
exposed.
that they would be
They
exposed.
know
No, they
would.
won't go.
They don't compete, and I put myself out there, and I make myself available. I've lost to fucking purple belts.
And
Anybody that
respect,
wants
bro.
to come try and beat me,
Yeah,
come try it. You
Yeah.
you not in my weight class, or you're this. I've faced every belt. I've faced blue belts that are tough as fuck.
yeah.
Yeah, those-
And this is the reality of jiu-jitsu.
And this is one reason why I really personally I don't like the belts too much. Like if I personally think the sport will be better without them, but I think people get too hung up on I'm
Yeah.
this belt or I'm that belt, and then
Well, it doesn't
you
track
can
the
buy
same.
'em anymore,
It's like
too.
college degrees. I tell people like it doesn't
Yeah.
track the same. So
Right.
think about net worth and college degrees. Sometimes you get somebody that is really good with no degree, makes
Yeah.
a ton of money. Sometimes you get somebody, and that could be your white belts or blue belts that are like Nicky Rod, the black belt slayer, when he's
Yeah.
a blue belt, right?
Mhm.
And so you have these belts. I think are good just because I'm a black belt, so then I get to be at the top. I'm just kidding. Belts, I think are good because it's like it awards people for studying, and there's so many casuals in the sport, and you need the casuals in there to pay the bills, keep the lights on.
yeah, some people
But they
need
get
And
the
they
black
need the
belt
belt,
so early.
and then there's a body of knowledge, and there's a huge commitment still to get a jiu-jitsu black belt.
Yeah.
It's unlike other martial arts, like this huge commitment.
There's a lot.
And it means something, but it just means, like, to me now, I started as a white belt again when I got my black belt, because now I gotta just
It's always
the
evolving.
the best I can serve any of my students too is always to then go and constantly seek out knowledge. Otherwise, you're not a good teacher. So you're always student teacher. You know, I'm not a red belt yet, so I don't get to be just some old guy that knows everything.
Yep.
But like by the time I'm a red belt, should know a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
I do. We got to keep learning. Like,
Yeah.
But it still means something. Like a college degree is my point. You know, but you can make money at any level. Like nowadays
like
too, like they're standing on the back of what we already studied. You know, they're standing on the backs of what we already did. Like, if you took a blue belt and you went back in time, they would win the world title if you went back far enough in time. You know, easily.
Like the blue belts out today.
Blue belts today, so they're all leveled up. Like your Bubbas and like these guys, like they're leveled up to such an insane degree. So if you're not a black belt throwing down with some of these dogs and savages at the lower belts, you're actually missing out on so much. And they're studying on Instagram and videos. And I learned from people at lower belts at blue belt because they watch all the instructionals I don't fucking watch.
Dude, that's saved 1,000 reels on my phone.
Yeah, me too.
Like just a different technique, and I just like try it out with each guy. It's kind of
and AI is bringing that to you, so it's like literally an AI fueled hyper learning thing that's going on right now in the community. So you got to get on with the cross training. You got to get on with the, or else you left behind. So I learned that lesson. You know, I was like cross training. Don't let other people's egos that own your gym. If they're not open to it, that might not be even a good gym.
Yeah.
That's very highly correlated.
Yeah, like there's a lot of people in the world. Iowa, like, you know, we need definitely all train together. Like what we've been doing at Myriad has been awesome. Like we had like almost 30 people that one day, and they were all like high level wrestlers wanting to start fight, and some of them, the guys didn't wrestle. So it's just like a good combination of guys that want to push each other and learn. And each guy has something they're better at. One guy's more athletic, one guy's not, but he's good at this, you know. It's kind of building off each other.
Yeah, tell me more about like your Evo Fight Team concept here.
Yeah, so I just kind of made this on Adobe. I was just messing around. I'm like, oh, that looks kind of cool.
Yeah.
I was thinking about doing like Evolution or Evolve, but there's already like a lot of that. So I just kind of was messing around, and yeah, I want it to be like an evolution of fighters type of thing. And I do want to get a gym, but you know, that's getting closer, probably here in the next few months. I'm hoping this year. And I want to do all that cross training with everyone, or like, cause yeah, that is important, definitely important, especially in Iowa when we're a small state. Like I've been all over the place. I've seen a lot of gyms, and I've seen a lot of people. Everyone has different coaches, different teams. Can't just be one coach ever. That's why I like hit you up that one day and hit you guys up, because I know you guys are solid jiu-jitsu guys, and you're really good at MMA jiu-jitsu, which MMA jiu-jitsu is different than regular jiu-jitsu, especially with striking involved. So, and I'm more primarily a striker, but jiu-jitsu is what I started in. I just always learned how to do takedown defense or get up.
Yeah, you had this whole fighting career as the milkman.
Oh, yeah. That's because I was the whitest boy in the gym. And I was smiling all the time. Before fights, I was always excited. And,
how many fights did you do, and when was your last one?
Oh, God, it's been... Well, my last one was December, right before COVID. Yeah, and that was when I fought Salazar. I think I broke my nose that fight. Then I've had some pro kickboxing fights. All of those, I'm undefeated in the pro kickboxing. I did WACO, which is Team USA for kickboxing. And we fought in the world tournaments over in Budapest, Hungary, I think it's 2007, no? Yeah, a few years back.
Sick.
Yeah, and that one was insane. I was like 23, 24.
But how old are you now?
I'm 29.
You're 29.
I've had almost like 80 to 100 fights. I just can't remember. Did Golden Gloves at 18.
You're talking like 2017 then, not 2007.
Yeah. There we go. Yeah, that's what I meant.
I was like, how old are you?
I know.
You guys
17,
are both like
17, yeah.
You guys are both like 29.
I know.
Right?
Yeah, I actually we used to train together at Alliance.
Yeah.
Jerome told me about that place, so I used to drive up. So we have a photo somewhere of us white belts.
Like way back in the day, yeah.
Yeah. I know. Then, yeah, I know, so it's kind of circling around all the guys that were doing it in the early on learning, you know.
You gonna be able to make like a business model, because we kind of have to challenge the business model and just do more like drop fees or like
Yeah.
kind of seminar things?
Yeah.
Or like how are you gonna fund that with like, because that's what we need is we need to just create a nexus. It's like a co-working space for
Well, I want a
jiu-jitsu
24-hour
and MMA.
gym. Like, you know, one of those key fobs?
Oh, sick. Yeah.
So that way, like, it's not, you don't have to do the class if you don't want to, but everyone can train there. You know what I mean? Like a
You just
middle
want to
ground.
come in and do bag work.
That's
Yeah.
so smart.
Like, like have a ring or cage or something for wall work.
Because like I have 24-hour access because I teach at Des Moines Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah.
Take private lessons, go drill with people.
Oh, yeah,
but
you
that's how you get good. You just need one other body sometimes.
I don't.
You two can meet up there. That's so smart.
Yeah.
And maybe when
Yeah,
they scan
exactly.
in, just micro payments or something like that.
Yeah,
find
like
some
pay for a
way.
fight
Yeah.
camp or something if they wanted to do a fight camp, because half the fighters are broke. That's let's be real. I was
Yeah.
like living in my car, so.
Well,
I
we
mean,
talked about maybe you'd
yeah.
have like a more track of people that aren't on that track, but then like if
Then
they
have
were
the
disciplined
fitness.
and they showed up on a certain schedule
Then they
and
get
they
that
showed
deal.
you they have to meet certain requirements and have
Mhm.
expectations put on them, but then maybe doing like a fighter management and you could like just
Yeah.
take some off the purse like a normal manager and keep bringing these guys because they are. Ago gave that speech at the end and
That was
like made me
beautiful.
tear
Bro, we
up.
came
That
out
was
there.
beautiful, dude.
My Cash App card went down, and I had my money in Cash App and Apple Pay. Like everything disappeared. It just wouldn't let me log in. I couldn't use it. So I had like $7, and we were in Jacksonville. Ago had like 17. He had someone send him money or send $50 from Venmo to me, but then Venmo broke down, or there was some issue with Venmo. Like I never got it, and then I got it like hours later. But we were just like piggybacking off each other.
Bro,
Hustling.
Ago, if you ever need like just like $100, bro, let me know. What the fuck?
I know, dude,
Don't just
we
sit
were.
there. He's like gave the speech like I had $17,
He really did.
and then he won his biggest purse of his life,
He did everything.
and he said he can get a house now and this and that. So like, if they're on that track, we now have the skill here in town. I used to tell people, well, they're like, I want to be in the UFC champion. I go, where are you gonna move to? And that's back when I was early days
Well, that's
of Des Moines. I said, where are you
real
gonna move?
truth.
Real talk.
uh-huh.
And so they would, now I'm telling people, because of the cross training and the
Oh,
things
yeah.
that are happening
We
here,
can do it.
Well, like,
we have
yeah.
all the tools for
We do.
jiu-jitsu, for MMA. You don't got to go nowhere, but obviously go, if you want to go flying and go to B team or this and that every once in a while. But
Yeah.
like, we have all the tools, and we
We
have
do.
the toughest motherfuckers on the planet here in
I know.
Iowa already.
But the key is we have to cross train.
Oh
Yes.
yeah.
That's the only way to make it
We're too small
possible.
not to. Like
Too
you know.
small, exactly.
Like some of
and
those
even
gyms,
Chicago,
man.
big markets, they do it nonstop.
Oh yeah.
So they're obviously going to be, like they say, Iowa's 5 years behind. And
Yeah.
I've been trying to do the best I can. Like the last 10 years, I've been considered one of the best in the state. But like, I'm trying to push as much as I can. But I'm trying to say like, where's the next torchbearers, this and that? Because I should be getting killed by some young gun that then puts.
Yeah.
And now the environment's there where that's starting to happen, and I'm here for it. Like I want to be. I've said on a podcast, I want to be the worst in the state.
Oh yeah.
You know, because I'm not training near enough of like the real lifestyle, like 2 times a day, 3 times a day of like a Joseph Chen or somebody like that.
Yeah. You got to be like obsessed with it too.
And you're not making money on other things, so like
No.
having that other track,
Yeah.
like that fighter management track, would be huge.
Well, that's what I've been trying to do also, because I've had like 5 fight managers when I was coming up. Like at 18, I started just boom going. I had like 20 fights when I was 18. I was just fighting every other weekend. I was like obsessed with it, nonstop in the gym. So I kept working with management. Everyone would promise one thing, never happened. You know, that type. And I always had my own sponsors that I got just from like being upfront and honest with most of the guys. But yeah, it's like you always get that guy that wants to sneak in, manage you, and then take the money, but they don't really do anything or know anyone for you. But they'll say these words to these young fighters, and
Maybe we could just have gyms like,
That's
because
yeah.
I was talking to Vic about it, and he's like, well, now a lot of the guys that were coming here are coming here. I'm like, okay, I tell people like the most legit gyms in town that I point people to. Don't get offended if you're at another gym. There's other good training going on all over the metro. But like, I point people to Des Moines Jiu-Jitsu, Henzo Gracie Academy, and then if they're up your way, to Myriad.
Yeah.
Because you guys, and then Absolute, Vic's place. So like, I'm like, here's some jiu-jitsu places, the 2 ones I focus my time on. And if you want like some of the highest level, like that's just how, like, I always gravitate wherever the high level stuff is going on. So I've never had any allegiance to
between them all.
anything but the knowledge base. And like Absolute, amazing facilities. an amazing, and I did that armbar seminar there, and
Oh yeah.
we all want to keep supporting Vic too, and it's like, you guys started then training up in names. Now I'm like, we need a model where maybe they could have, if Absolute is your manager and hooks you up with things, which they also have a promotion themselves, so they have a farm program almost for you built already. So then you could have some managers, you manage them in a way like, but you know, Ago trains all over the place.
Oh,
but we
yeah.
need more people at more high level places training more often.
Yes. Yeah.
And we need to build the model of the future around that.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree for sure. Like that's yeah, I'm kind of like a spazzy nerd, like ADHD brain, so whenever one of the guys has an opponent, I like obsessively research them, especially Ago's guy. For the higher level, like that's what they do.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the coaches, like I've always been like obsessed with how the body moves and whatnot, like how this guy twitches and how he throws or how his arm looks before he does like a feint or a takedown, you know, like those little tells. Like I loved it when I was fighting, cause like
that's the game.
That's
at
why
the
I
higher
never got
levels,
knocked
because we
out.
all know all the same shit.
yeah,
It's like looking at the poker game of it and the more subtle art.
Yeah.
That's when it becomes an art, because we all kind of got the science down.
mm-hmm.
But then the art starts to come in of like baiting people or understanding your opponent really well. And you should
Well,
always
yeah.
watch film, in my opinion, because you'll get taken out by
Well,
somebody's
yeah,
best
like-
thing.
It's true. Like they look through all the other guys' videos and they figure out, oh, this guy's this way, so fight him this way. Like Ago's guy, he had like this knee brace on,
Mhm.
and I knew he just had knee surgery. Jerome actually mentioned it to me because he creeped too, and our whole game plan was to kick out that leg, stay in southpaw because the guy's very straightforward.
I loved that.
Yeah. So that's what we were doing, and when we were hitting mitts, I like to, whenever I'm holding mitts for people, I turn it into like I'm fighting them as their guy, and I start smacking them a little bit nicely, not really hard, but it's just to get them to move and realize that you can't just hit and stand or just be so tense all the time. Because Ago was really tense, I'm not gonna lie. He's like
The
in the
Ago
beginning.
before wouldn't have beaten that guy, but you made a few little. I mean,
Just
it
to
is
move
what it
his
is.
head.
Like it is what it is. Like good coaching, if it's high enough level, you know, seek those out, because Ago is the guy that knew about cross training. He knew to seek.
Yeah.
He came and seeked me out
Mhm.
and made sure he didn't get heel hooked in the match.
Oh yeah, exactly.
I then coached him out of the heel hook, doing the thing. We only did like 4 sessions.
I know.
And it was just exiting every
click.
heel hook I could think of, you know, and leg lock situation, how to just stay kind of in a meta way out of that position. But he got into 2 leg locks in the fight. I yelled at him to do our thing. He's out,
Yeah.
you know, and then like with you, like dialing him in, he wouldn't have been the same fighter. So like Ago figured out the formula. Some of us figured out the formula.
Yeah.
If you actually want to break through, because a lot of people around here are content with being the toughest dude and
It's not about that
around
anymore
here and
either.
a local tough guy and this and that. I've always been like, with my jiu-jitsu and stuff, like I always compare myself to the people everywhere else.
Yeah.
And
No, exactly.
That's what we need to do.
That's why when I was fighting, I was traveling out of state all the time. I was always like road tripping up to Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Rick Glenn was at Rufus Sport then. I was like 19. I think I drive up every Wednesday before I had to go to work at 5 a.m. the next day. Train, so it's like 5.5 hours. I think it was Ben Askren's wrestling class or something. Then Rick would let me take a nap at his spare bedroom fighter house.
Nice.
And I drive all the way back that same day.
Ricky the Gladiator Glenn
Yeah,
is fighting
He's fighting Drew Dober.
Drew Dober on like October 6th or
I
something
know,
like that.
Dang, that's coming up.
So I want to have him on the pod maybe after he does his fight, you know,
I know, yeah.
bring him on here.
Yeah,
But like
he's a
he's
beast.
another guy that's showed us what can happen. And guess where he trains at around here?
Yeah,
Everywhere.
everywhere. I don't even know where he trains
Everywhere,
at.
because he's already figured it out. Like I
Yeah.
said, you have to seek out the knowledge and the trainers, and you seek out the right high level people.
Yeah.
There's a huge difference between local tough guy and like dialing it in. Like, how would you benefit back when you were a fighter if you were there coaching, or just
Oh yeah,
how about today's Ames?
it would
and
be
Des
a
Moines
lot
scene?
different too.
How about
Especially
you
with
were just training in today's Ames and Des Moines scene?
yeah,
you
it would
know?
be way different. Like it was kind of like that, but it was still the guys were fighting each other in town. You know, like I was with like it was main guys that were in the UFC at the time. Like when I was 18, started with them, sparring them every day. But then, you know, over time it starts like breaking apart. Then everyone started going to this gym and this gym. Then they fought each other in town.
Dude, we got to make this point too real quick.
Yeah.
Is that these guys, that created some of that Creonch thinking.
Yeah.
And that created like this local tough guy mentality that kept Iowa stuck for so many years. And kept us like just backlogged fighting each other instead of actually getting better. Like I started when I was cross training at Henzo's, I knew right away like any little sneaky little black belt shit I could pull out of my ass to beat you guys, even if you're getting better, like would go away.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know, if I meet Jake or if I meet, I said this to Derek too. I said, Derek Flagg, I was like, I said, listen, it's cool cross training with you. And I know that any advantage I have is going to be gone from that cross training. Plus he's been getting so leveled up lately. But like, I told him, I was like, if I meet you in a competition and I lose because I cross trained with you, but then I can beat every other motherfucker that isn't you. That's worth so much. And then we go to trials, and we looked like you went to trials with us, and that motivated. Talk about motivating each other and all that shit. That just woke up and motivated a bunch of people that were watching us on screen, watching.
I remember
trials, and what motivated them was we belonged there. You threw down and had a very close match with a well-known opponent.
Yeah.
You know, I took somebody out quick with a heel hook, then threw down and had an overtime war with, what's that kid's dad? That overweight kid that heel hooks everybody.
Like local?
Yeah, the Adult Slayer.
Adult Slayer. His
Pat
dad.
Shangoli.
Huh? Pat Shangoli. That's why we got our boy
Slayer.
Jamie over here.
I like it.
Yeah, so I went against his dad, which is something Shangoli. I'm going to mess it up now, but his dad's a black belt. And I think he was a brown belt at the time. And we threw down and had this war. But, like, then Derek had a high-level opponent. And just, we all looked like we belonged out there, just like when we went to Midwest Finishers 3-on-3.
Yep.
We already knew because all the cross-training and all the evolution that's been going on. Karsten moved to town, you know, and, you know, we all got attracted to, like, boom, let's go tap that body knowledge. And, like, we reached critical mass here in town, and we knew that. People were like, we were throwing down in that 3-on-3 against B team. But I made the joke. I was like, yeah, but it's B team, C team. Like, we were trying to win. We were going to win that one.
Yeah.
We didn't even know who Joseph fucking Chen ran these guys. We were just ready to win.
Yeah. We could have won, too.
And we were deep in
so
that.
Close.
Just an overtime situational.
It's all that mindset,
and
like, of not.
Some of the strategy, we could have just shifted a little bit, and we'd have beat them. So, we're right there.
Yeah.
We're ready to take off. Jiu-Jitsu, MMA.
Oh, yeah.
We got Ricky Glenn, you know, trailblazing in the MMA department. He motivates us. He cross-trains.
Yeah, I'm excited for him. I love Ricky. He's awesome.
Like, I'm trying to keep my body working. 37. I'm keeping all the wheels on the bus because I want to be a part of this.
Yeah.
It's just getting good.
Yeah.
It's just getting good.
Oh, my body's all sorts of torn.
Dude, that's the cool thing about martial arts, though, is like even, you know, as long as you stay active and you stay in motion, as you get older, like it keeps you young.
Well, and I'm learning new tricks.
Oh, yeah.
There's Ryan with Superhuman Labs. I don't know if you know him, but like, he'll just fix me up. I'll go get some massage therapy. I know about ice baths.
I did cryotherapy.
The recovery game's getting crazier and crazier.
And if I didn't have martial arts, I would just probably let myself start to be the typical whatever. But like,
yeah, that's what happened when COVID hit for me.
Yeah.
Like everything gone. So, you know, it was 2 weeks before a fight. And I was supposed to go to the Contender Series if I had one more win.
Fuck, dude.
I know.
You got so deep in the kickboxing and the MMA.
Yeah, kickboxing I was really obsessed with. So, but yeah, I was gonna fight in Cage Aggression, Davenport. You know, that Josh Neal guy, I think.
Yep.
He retired, but he was Luke Rodriguez's training partner, and I fought Luke twice.
Nice.
But yeah,
Cage Aggression, that was like one of my favorite promotions.
I fought there like 8 times, I think.
I love that one.
Oh yeah, they do great with their media.
It's beautiful.
They come down, actually do videos of the fighters and interviews at the gym too, which is that's what they were doing way back as well.
Well, the content is king in this business.
It is like
it's a visual sport, and like
that's what I tell my guys to post.
That's what my guy Jiu-Jitsu Photos back here, Brian, knows. And
he's really good.
He wants to keep getting in on the content, interviews, things like that. This podcast is kind of part of that because I keep having local people in the MMA community, but like
spreads the news.
Yeah, like all of us making more content in that area, and Subspectrum teaching us. Like again, we all inspire each other. Like, hey, here's how to make some good content. Like he just went all out. and showed us how to put on a promotion.
Mm-hmm. He's been doing
ACL
it for
put on a good
years, too.
promotion.
Yeah, no,
Like,
that was great.
You're talking about promotions now, and that's a big part of the growth
Oh yeah,
too.
it's like having that media outlet with the
Mm-hmm.
promotion is key, especially as an amateur. Like a lot of them, like you don't want to just fight in those local small shows as an amateur. I was always trying to fight the best dudes at each place and try to take their belt
Yeah.
from the promotion. Never defend it. I just wanted to collect them. So I have like 4 of them. Like one from it's no longer around, but it was really good too. Pinnacle Combat. It's where was that? Dubuque. Yeah. So there was. I think it's B2 now. The owners transferred it to that show, and that's pretty big now. And then I fought out in Vegas when I was 19. Yeah, I just turned 19 for that Tough Enough show.
Oh shit.
Yeah, like I fought there twice, but the first time I was 19, I fought some wrestlers, so it was for their.
That's who I was.
Yeah,
I came into it only with wrestling skills.
you wrestlers, man, I hate.
I fought
you
a
guys.
Golden Gloves boxer, and I just slipped a few times, took
Yeah,
him down. Somebody
that was
had
me.
just taught me armbarred him, and
Yeah.
then on, I prayed at the holy grail of the armbar. Save me
Oh, I
from
hate
people
it.
that are strikers.
I started in a
And
boxing gym,
guillotines.
so yeah. I mean, that show had like 15,000 people in the arena. It was Pack the Mac, is what it was called. It was at the UNLV, and they literally gave out
Jeez.
free tickets. Yeah, and it was for their belt too, so it was main event.
This
And
was tough enough.
Yeah, it was pretty.
It
I
was
met a
pretty
lot
big
of people
promotion
out
back
there.
in the day.
Oh yeah, it was huge, and it was the best for amateurs. Like Forrest Griffin was there at the time, Stephen Bonner too, and I was like, oh my god, starstruck. 19. But yeah, I cut weight pretty bad. Me and Jordan Young, we cut weight in the sauna, and I cut like 3 pounds too much by accident. Because the time changed when you go to Vegas.
Mhm.
So I felt like death. Yeah, I got wrestled around on the ground. Like the guy was just strong.
And then he won
Wrestler.
a decision that way.
Yeah, people were booing, and I was kind of mad. That's how it ended. And the second time I went out, I think I was 20. The first 15 seconds, I got hit with this overhand that broke my whole orbital bone. Like, this thing was
Fuck.
caved in. Don't remember the fight. I just remember seeing this guy run towards me and it going black. And then I won the fight somehow just by, like,
Instinct.
just
Ultra
smacking
instinct.
my hands, and it backed him up. Like, I couldn't even see him.
Did you pounce on him to finish with strikes or what?
Yeah, so I did like some ground and pound stuff, and yeah, I got him by TKO because that dude could hit. It was like bricks were smacking my face every time he touched me. It's really awful.
I fought people.
I still
like
have
that.
nerve damage.
I broke, caved in this part of my skull against
Oh,
Roger
so you
Bowling.
get it.
He had back of my head and uppercutted me. He just knocked out a
Yeah.
UFC vet in 7
Yeah.
seconds before my fight with him.
Not
You
fun.
fucking
You feel
getting
it.
hit like that sucks ass.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
That was my first time really getting hit.
yeah.
like, that's not
Like
good.
there's different levels to hitting.
Uh,
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I've had wars in barns, like, and where it's like you just see stars, like you really do. It's like white flashes of
Mhm.
light.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that was weird.
That's why I got out of it. I was taking too much head hits, and
Yeah.
so like jiu-jitsu became my outlet.
Well, that's how I
But
got.
like I still
yeah.
like training with the fighters, and I know that even with the head trauma, like people are gonna do it anyways. They need that
Mhm.
outlet. They're born fighters, like I said. They're born that way almost, or built that way. But
That's why I'm big on movement and head movement and stuff.
Yeah, keep
keeping
him
that
safe.
flow. Yeah.
Aggo looked like he was relatively
Only fight
safe.
where he didn't get his only fighter on the card besides that first fight that didn't get a cut. Because I was seeing guys come back with their eyebrows hanging off. I'm like, oh my god, this is intense.
Well, that was bare knuckle MMA. You guys
I know, I
are crazy
was
as
like-
fuck.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
was some characters out there, that's for sure. It was,
Do you think that's gonna take off bare knuckle MMA?
Oh yeah, that show had over like 3 million views, I think. Gamebred was smart with it because they put it on YouTube for live stream for free.
Yeah.
I mean, the tickets to get in were expensive, but he has a bunch of sponsors. I already can see like all the guys out there, and yeah, and he's getting like good MMA fighters like it's Anthony. I can't pronounce his last name. That high level striker that fought Brandon Jenkins.
Anthony Johnson.
No, it's Anthony. It starts with an
I don't know
N.
that many fighters.
He was the fight before Aggo, but that fight was pretty solid. They're both PFL, UFC veterans. Yeah, it was everyone on the card. It was solid. It was good to watch.
You also mentioned that you cut weight with Jordan Young,
Oh yeah,
and I should mention he's another one that like
I
inspired
know,
and
man.
motivated a lot of us because he went deep.
yeah.
he was fucking people up at Bellator, and the dude.
He was the next big thing. He just won PFL.
He just won it, and
Amari or something.
He dominated this dude with his striking. Got a clean first round knockout.
Yeah, he was working with Dewey Cooper.
And then he died.
I know.
Right after, like, he went out on. It was almost like the climax of his life right there. We didn't know it at the time, but like,
I know.
He went out showing us like how much that discipline can take you, like how far that shit can take you if you really buy into it, and motivated a lot of us. I got the opportunity to train with him many times too. Like, real good guy.
He was a great dude.
Good guy. Yeah. I don't know why the fucking best ones always have to fucking die.
We used to go get sushi at Waterfront because I was sponsored by him.
Yeah.
And we were broke, so we'd always get free sushi. It's definitely sucks.
He's inspiring us from the other side now. You know?
Yeah. He's the one that got me traveling out of town too, so we'd always talk about it, and he even said that's why he was going to like Power MMA in Arizona a lot of the times, because there was a lot more high level.
Yeah, well, back then I would tell him the same thing, and he already knew. I was like I said, you got to leave town, and he did that.
Yeah, and he always took care of me whenever I went out to like ATT too. It definitely sucks. Yeah, he was a good one.
Yeah, like I was talking about my buddy that was a ranger too, and so he died last year, but it's like I still message him on.
Yeah.
I gotta be careful so I don't get emotional on my podcast.
No, I get it.
I still message him on Facebook Messenger, you know.
Yeah.
And just tell him I need his energy today or whatever.
Yeah.
Tell him I love him, whatever.
Yeah,
and it's like they still inspire us. Like I look at it like I got bros inspiring me here.
Yeah.
And I got bros inspiring me on the other side, you know. And so
like
Jordan Young's one of those too.
Yeah.
Like that dude can inspire me. I can just go back and watch some of his content, whatever.
Yeah. Like I used to talk shit to him on the UFC game. So we still have our PlayStation messages up there. I was talking trash back and forth because I kept beating him in the video game.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah. Yeah, it definitely sucks. He was a good one. We were pretty tight back in the day.
And now we got to treasure even more, you know, what we got going on every day.
Well, yeah, that fight against Omari, that was a big one for him.
Yeah.
And Dewey Cooper, his boxing coach at the time, was solid. Like, that's that DC Black Cobra, if you know him on social media.
Well, I don't think so.
He's trains Nagano right now.
Okay.
I think for his fight. Really cool dude. He's out in Vegas, but yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like, I don't know. They're still inspiring us.
Yeah.
And we're now building something now today
I know.
that is inspiring other people, and we're all inspiring each other. Like, it's super powerful. Like, it makes you then realize, like, you know, look at the fighters you got now, look at the friends you got now.
Like, everyone is really good at something, like, in every, like, fighter, like, higher level fighter around here.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I hit up Jerome, too, because he used to be my main, like, that's how I learned how to wrestle in a way, because he's so big, he's like a gorilla, and he just, like, folds you when he just touches you. He wrestled up at Iowa State, and we fought on the USA team together. So he was just natural athlete, but he's really good with that MMA wrestling and clinch work.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, he used to like just foot stomp, break toes. His ground and pound was insane. Well, that's why we brought him up to Myriad that one time, because he lives up in Ames too, and wrestled with Kyvan. And that's why I hit you up too, like, you as well, because you guys are both like high level jiu-jitsu dudes. And I knew like these guys I was working with, they need that. Like, and not get like,
well, like I can get them, Jake, too. Like we now have the jiu-jitsu here in town. Like we can get them almost higher level than they would even need to win the UFC title in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, that's what
that's just sitting here in town for anyone that wants to take it. We've had some fighters come in from other gyms to Des Moines Jiu-Jitsu, and I'll teach one class to them or whatever, and they'll go, everything you just said, I've never heard any of this. And like I did that armbar seminar, we probably had 5 gyms at least represented.
Yeah, awesome.
And I feel like a lot of them didn't know 90% of what I was talking about.
Oh, probably not.
And there's a huge fucking difference. Trying to get this through people's heads. Like, if you're at a gym, there's some really small towns, like you may be listening to a blue belt or this, that. Good. Listen to everybody. You're lucky to have your instructors you have, but, like, if you're trying to break through, we're talking about the people that are actually...
You gotta really do it.
Are you going to fuck around for 5 years and tinker with techniques, or are you going to have one conversation? Because I can change people's outlook on how they play their entire
Oh yeah.
jiu-jitsu game in one lesson.
Uh-huh.
And so if you go and talk to somebody high level enough, like you're doing the thing and seeking people out, and you know that there's a huge difference in just one piece of context, almost distilled down from 2 decades of
Someone
knowledge
can
from a
explain
wrestler.
it a little better or something.
But the high levels matter, you know.
Yeah, that's why there is over in Illinois, it's in Rockford. There's a USA training camp, and they always do big seminars. So I'm waiting for the next one. We missed this last one because the guys were fighting, but they always bring in like 5 to 6 USA coaches, and they're all from across the U.S. Like one of them, he actually is one of the head Muay Thai coaches out at Henry Hoot's gym, Killcliff, in Florida. Dimitri, he's a really solid one. But all these guys were former world champions, and like their training camp up there, we'd go for like 3.5, 4 hours, and it would just be an hour with each coach one day, and then the next day we'd do the same thing and end with sparring. And there was like close to 200 people there, I think, almost. But it was I think guys need to travel and do that too, along with the jiu-jitsu. It's like having that understanding of timing and distance for striking saves your brain a lot longer, you know.
Yeah.
I'd rather
You'd
not.
be much better off,
Yeah.
you know, learning these lessons.
Yeah. I've had my wars when I was like 18, and I learned that you kind of don't want that too much. I don't want to be brain dead when I'm older. That's why I was like got really big into movement with Bacom and that functional patterns stuff. That really helped me because like my body was so beat up from all the years of being stupid. So like I'd have an injury, I'm like, oh, mindset, and I'd just run through. Like my knee would be torn up. And same when I fought overseas, like I literally dislocated my kneecap from Rakim when my foot was planted. He was trying to show me a trip. Kicked it, and it just tore like everything in my knee. So I trained for a world kickboxing fight with only 2 weeks of actually kicking. And yeah, that was fun. But yeah, the guys over there, man, like overseas, kickboxing's their football. That is a whole nother world. I came out there like, yeah, I'm so tough, blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh my God, these guys are freaking insane. Like you fight every day for 5 days, and some of the guys fight a pro fight later that night after the first fight. And it's a different country, and there were 62 countries in it. It was definitely insane. I fought Poland. So did Jerome when he was in the World Games, and those guys are just savages.
But you're going out there and you're getting that data from traveling around. We've kind of got that too by traveling to tournaments.
Oh yeah, you can
and
see
just
stuff.
Like going to Vegas, going to Chicago. Like Chicago's like my number one place where I go and like get a lot of data from a Midwest Finishers card.
Nice.
Because they always have, it's like a ADCC trials card, you know, like miniature slice of it.
Yeah.
And so if you can do well there, or just collect the data and come back and you kind of go, oh, I need to work on this and this.
Pick what you want, basically. That really like clicks.
It's all information flow. Our whole game is just information flow, whether it's better ways to rehab your knee if it's hurt, or this, like we all are getting that more and more from these different channels. And like Jake is bringing also information flow from Pedigo, which is one of the best gyms out there. And so like, how often are you making those trips, and tell me a little bit about that experience?
Yeah. So, I try to make it out to Pedigo probably like twice a month.
That's so much. I mean, really, you're driving how long?
Yeah, so, and like I'll be driving down there tomorrow actually. So I'm gonna, it's about like 6.5 hours from Ames. But yeah, I try to go out there for like 3 or 4. Like I'll just stay for like a week, 3 or 4 days. But yeah, I try to go as much as my work schedule will allow me. And that's one good thing about having my own business is I can kind of just, keep certain days open to go down there and train. But it's been great, dude. And like, apart also from just like the world-class training and the high-level guys that are inside of the gym that have been elevating my game like crazy, just like one big thing I also learned about that gym in particular is like the way that they run the gym and like their philosophy about jiu-jitsu. And it was for me, because I've been to a lot of different jiu-jitsu gyms, but this was like the first jiu-jitsu gym where like it completely opened my eyes, where it was like, damn, like I never even considered like running a jiu-jitsu gym like differently than, because I would say like majority of jiu-jitsu gyms are all ran like pretty similar. Like most of them are like traditional, and you know, you do your drilling and it's all kind of like, each gym is pretty similar, right? But then when I went to Pedigo, it was like they were just doing their own thing, like completely different than any gym I've ever been to. Like the intensity was higher. I think it's definitely geared more for like people that are competitive, but I mean, you also see like women in there and older guys, and just yeah, just everything about that gym. It was like a huge eye opener of like, I thought like when I opened my gym, I was like, there was a certain way that I was supposed to run my gym because of just like the traditional aspects of jiu-jitsu. And then going down there, I was like, dude, hold up, this is a game changer. Like I can run my gym I can run my gym completely different than how like 99% of the jiu-jitsu gyms out here are being ran. And yeah, just and it was cool too, because like, yeah, I don't know, just I think there's a lot of issues with the traditional side of like jiu-jitsu schools. And you know, there's like a lot of the big affiliate teams that are across the world, like they have certain things that they do in their gyms and like certain rules that in my opinion, I think are outdated.
It's that cult mentality.
Like cult mentality.
It is. It goes right into cult.
Yeah.
Because they have like
you have to
belting
wear
system. So like some of these people are, to get the next degree on their black belt and get closer to like coral belt or red, like they're almost on that track still of like they have to please this one person who please this other person. So it's obviously bringing this old school mindset top down.
If he's not happy, you're in trouble.
Yeah, and it's like you won't get promoted ever again in your life, or you'll be blackballed or this and that. So like to them, they're overly. It's kind of like I said, college degrees versus how much money you make, because it's like they got obsessed with being tenure track professors, and now all the professors don't have free speech and can't say what they want to say or train how they want to train.
Exactly.
See how all that shit's connected? Like this old top down mentality versus, you know, people just thinking for themselves and doing what's best for them. But what are some specific like mechanics of how you structured your gym? You know, like, is it the membership fees? Was it how, like, I love your idea of like having a key fob and just people go all the time. Like, how do we meet this new obligated. You know, how is the Myriad more a new school gym, you know, in that way? Yeah.
That's a good question. I would say like one of the biggest things, first off, is like allowing the freedom of your students or the guys that come into your gym. Like you have to give them the freedom to go to other gyms first off. I think that's like very important and a big factor, like especially in Iowa, but this is a thing across the world too. Like there's a lot of big jiu-jitsu schools where this is a very real thing, where if you go train at another gym, you know, they don't want you to go to any other gym, or you come back and you get weird energy and now you're treated differently.
A lot of gyms are still like that too. Remember when you were road tripping? He road tripped. The rest of us flew all the way to trials in Vegas. And you visited some gyms along the way. And I had to remind you that that's more the case, because Des Moines has always been a little more open, especially Des Moines Jiu-Jitsu, and this like the atmosphere has always been on point. But like you went and these, we'll call them, you're either old school or new school gym. Basically, you were going to either, or it's a new school but just getting started. You know, but whatever it was either new school just getting started, or it was old school gym, which is still prevalent. You know, got to wear the gis with this logo and this and do that and do that and do that. Yeah. And it's like the cult, and you were like talking about, why am I murking people so bad? I'm like, well,
like me and Ross.
They suck at jiu-jitsu. They're doing 1993 jiu-jitsu on you. Yeah, you and Ross.
Yeah, me and Ross were just like, we went to this one gym in specific, and like, it was very weird. It was like very like cult-like vibes in this gym. Like they were all like, it was like everything was synchronized. Like they were doing like weird warm-ups, and like I was just getting the vibe that like the black belts that were running the gym, like you can always sense it when like there's a coach or a black belt who has like an authoritarian type of mindset. And I'm very against that. I hate that. Like I would never want to be like,
act like you know it all,
put up on a pedestal. And then me and Ross crushed them, bro. Like we literally rolled with these black belts, and like we just dominated them. And me and Ross are just like, you know, trying to get some warm up rolls before trials.
Just a blue belt and a purple belt going to trials, destroying old school black belts, of course.
Yeah.
They're not at trials for a reason.
Exactly.
Then their whole power structure dissolves,
The ego.
Because the cult is built on a cult of personality, kind of, and it's like they come and get exposed, and it's like, you know, go out there, go throw down.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Joseph Chin was a purple belt when I faced him. Go beat Joseph Chin.
Yeah.
Any black belt on earth.
And that's why the
almost
belts
getting
don't
fucking
matter.
nuked by that dude.
Absolutely.
Though, especially the old school gyms, they're all getting nuked. You know,
Yeah.
all of them. Every
all
old
of
school
them.
gym.
All
Let's
of
just say
them.
it right now. Every old school gym. Not
Yeah.
Joseph Chin. I'll take some random blue belt from B team. Fucking
Crush
you up.
them. Or like a blue belt from Pedigo, bro. You
Fucking
don't even,
you
like
up.
when I go train at Pedigo, you don't even know who's what belt. Everybody's good.
Yeah.
Like there's been so many times where I'm rolling with somebody and we're like battling it out. And then I'm like, damn, bro, like you purple belt, how long you been training? And he's like, dude, I'm still a white belt. And it's like, holy
Like,
shit,
damn.
bro. Like these guys are like savages, bro. And nobody there cares.
What used to be
About their
advanced
belts.
is basic now.
Yeah.
And I told you the analogy of Dragon Ball Z, which you know we all fucking love. We all love DBZ. But the analogy was like they had 3 generations on that show, and each one went Super Saiyan younger. Because again, they were inspired. They saw what was possible, this and that. But like these younger generations are doing what used to be advanced, deep advanced techniques, and they're just like, all right, we're gonna do fundamentals today, guys. We're gonna escape single leg X. We're gonna dive through, take their back, trap their arm, hit a rear triangle. We're gonna do some basics today or something.
Yeah.
And you're just
Yeah.
like, that used to be an advanced sequence.
I know.
Deeply advanced.
Absolutely.
You can learn that on Instagram Reel now.
Yeah, baby was
That's
fucking
crazy.
around
I
now.
love Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, especially with like people's body types too. Not everyone can do the same thing. Like depending on their like some people aren't as flexible, you know, like Jerome, he can't do certain kicks to the head cuz he has bad knees.
Yeah.
And he's kind of big. Like, you know, it's like you got to modify each person like a certain way.
Well, which also brings you to cross training, because
Yeah.
say that there's 5 different schools with equal skill people, 5 people at different schools, equal skill, all different body types, and one of them's more your body type. You know, go train with that person. Like I was having these wars with Taylor after he got his blue belt. It became a lot more of a war. He's 300 pounds pure muscle, like 6'7".
The mountain.
The
is
Iowa
what I call
Hulk,
him.
the fucking mountain. Yeah.
Damn.
Taylor Feenstra. And should get him on sometime, just so I can look tiny on my podcast.
I know, right?
We'll
That
get a
guy's
wide
huge.
angle
That's
lens
like-
for that.
yeah.
Looks like he's
motherfucker.
in like Game of Thrones or something.
Dude, that's like Tommy from 2.
But
Yeah.
he started.
No, he makes Tommy look normal, bro. Like this guy's huge.
God, that's
but yeah,
insane.
Tommy is also huge, dude.
But like he fell in love with jiu-jitsu because he's like, why is the guy? He's like, why are you dominating me? And I'm just like, jiu-jitsu. I'm not. It's not me. It's just the information flow I tapped into. Like this is just jiu-jitsu doing this to you.
Yeah.
And then he's like, I need this superpower in my life. So like, by the time he leveled up to blue belt though, I'm 179 pounds, 5'8". Okay, this dude's fucking 307. We'd be in these wars to this day. If we have a match, could just be like this war of like, you know, me trying to face that immovable object and trying to use my latest little black belt trick to try and make it work for me and use leverage.
Use it to your game.
Yeah,
type of
but
thing.
like ultimately, like he's working on some stuff. He's like trying to do a chest compression on me. I'm Gumby, so I'm like taking his back and have my leg around his neck, and it's like my legs behind my own head and shit.
Modifying it.
And I told him, I'm like, we can keep having these wars all day, but I'm not the right body type for you to get better.
Oh yeah.
Because what heavyweight's gonna wrap you up like that, and what
Not
185 pounder's gonna do that to me?
Yeah.
Right.
It's fun. It's good in this sport. We can all train together, and it's good and fun. But like, I was encouraging him to cross train. You know, blasphemy. But I was like, I know this other gym that's high level that has more heavyweights, and I was even trying to make like a heavyweight open mat.
Dude, heavyweights are hard to
They're
find.
like a whole
too.
different, yeah. They're a whole different species. He's a different species or
Yeah.
something, or a different gender, like the third gender, like man
He's
plus.
like just
Yeah.
his own gorilla
Yeah.
species or something.
But like, so having the cross training also allows that to actually work. Or like you said,
Yeah.
somebody's high level in one thing. If you
Yeah.
put the whole community together, you go, oh, the guy I'm fighting is good at this. Go talk to so and so.
Yep.
Yeah, like get better by going against someone that's gonna. It's your same body type that can push you in that aspect, you know.
And in the business world, they just call that networking.
Yeah, like Diego.
They just call that network of networks, and
Yeah,
that's how everybody
exactly.
makes money. They literally just
Yeah.
know people.
Well, for
And that's how
Agos,
we get good.
yeah, like that's
Exactly.
why Diego came up that one day because like Ago was fighting a boxer, and Diego's just like that dude. He's like a more of a bully boxer, like the Mexican style, you know, block in, little head movement, and then just beat on you. Trap you in the corner, which is exactly what his guy was doing. So, yeah, Diego is a really high-level boxer around here. We started together. Elimination boxing, that's somewhere over by Grandview. I've been having the guys go there for some of the boxing work because, like, the coaches there, besides my actual coach who, those guys were, like, real deal. They were the first ones I started with. They know, like, the old school and new school boxing, and they're always learning. They have, like, 4 coaches in there right now. It's a nice gym, and, yeah, it's having, like, that boxer come and beat you up here and there to show you that they understand the timing a lot more. It like, especially if you're in MMA and doing, like, some sort of striking, like, if you have a guy that can strike and understands distance, timing, and you can't take down because he wrestled or he did some wrestling defense, having that ability to not just, like, run straight in.
I learned most of my striking from a pro boxer.
Yeah.
And it's funny because it's like, if you just go and train with boxers only, you're going to get killed.
Exactly.
In MMA, for
You'll
sure.
have bad habits, you'll have whatever.
go
But,
all
like, if we just tap into and accept the fact that boxing's already at a higher level than jiu-jitsu because of the years of, like, the sweet science that they figured out.
Mm-hmm.
And then if we just adapt some of that knowledge and then we adapt some of that wrestling knowledge that's
Make
here
it
in
for
Iowa,
MMA or something.
yeah, make it all work together. It's
Yeah.
all this. It's all a general science of, you know, eliminating a resisting human and and timing that out and everything. But, like,
understand the fundamentals of all of it.
yeah, like you said, it's movement.
Yeah.
You know, I'm at the same point now where we're all just studying movement patterns, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And some of these people have movement patterns down from these other disciplines that are amazing. So we can learn a lot from boxing. And then if you train pure boxing for your stand-up, you get killed.
Yeah,
in
exactly.
MMA.
That's why, like, kickboxing's different too, because, you know, boxing, they have their foot turned in. And, you know, when I started boxing, I was kind of doing that. I was getting my leg eat up all the time because it would be turned, you know, when you throw that hook, you pivot. But you can't really do that in kickboxing because you're just getting leg kicked all day by a good Muay Thai guy.
Well, like some boxers or even Thai fighters will watch MMA and be like, oh, that's low-level striking. Because they don't understand the adaptations. Like, same with jiu-jitsu guys. They'll watch and go, look how low-level that jiu-jitsu is. And it's like, well,
he's getting punched
he's
in the
not
face.
passing half guard.
Yeah.
Why is he not passing half guard from top?
Good ground and pound
Because when
position.
you're in their half guard, you have control of their hips, and you can ground and pound there. And the ground and pounding is going to open up all the jiu-jitsu anyways. So there's no reason for him to do some jiu-jitsu half guard pass. You know, so just understanding the context is super key, and not just, like, whether it's fragmented little techniques or fragmented disciplines, putting it together and, like, what's the movement pattern we need
mixing them all in.
Or researching your opponent. What's the movement patterns that they have? Like, what's the bug in their software?
Oh, I go, like, frame by frame, and I pause. Like, I download the video, and then I just, like, go in slow-mo, and I, like, pause and delete a certain spot where, like, the guy does something. I'm, like, straight nerd.
I do that same shit,
you do
dude.
Yeah,
I
I'm
get
a
them on my
straight
phone,
nerd
and I watch them.
Oh, yeah.
As
You
slow
can
as I
see
can,
what they do.
and I just move it, and then I go, got it. I could be learning a new jiu-jitsu technique.
Yeah.
But
And
it
see
won't make
why he
sense
does it.
until I slow it down.
Yeah. Because, like, I think Ago's guy, he'd always did this feint, and then he threw. But I saw one of his fights where he did that, and the other guy who was southpaw timed it with that left straight down the middle. So that's what Ago did perfectly. Caught him right with it. Like, the guy would do that fake, and every time Ago would hit him. Like, yeah, it's like people's normal body movements. They do it all the time. They have their little tics.
And then we have to always question where we're exposed. And
Yeah.
cross-training helps expose you more. Like, I didn't know.
Oh, facts.
I didn't get that data enough. Like, why is my guard getting passed? I had that conversation with you when I was trying to really, really get good at these higher levels. You start to expose. It becomes a micro game, you know?
Yeah.
And
Work
I was
on
just
all
like,
those.
oh, it's not necessarily a technique. It's I need to create more pressure off my wrestle ups. And if you're a little more worried about wrestle ups, just that much more, then my guard retention goes way through the roof. So it's not adding a technique. There's the strategy. There's the tactics.
Yeah, learning how to use your strength and defense type of thing.
And some gyms and some classes, people are getting pure techniques. And I call it a big bag of techniques. And I'm like, what are you going to do with those?
Yeah, how are you going to throw it if this guy's this way?
If you're not getting good coaching to put that together in a tactical and strategic framework, then you're fucked.
Well, like
Context.
like Bo's fight, he lost by a decision, but it's because I wanted him to fight a bully fighter in, like, amateur kickboxing. So, big gloves, they got the shin guards. The record doesn't matter when you do MMA, but it's that experience of having some guy not stop, like just charging you. This dude was in his face just like nonstop. I would get him a few times, but I knew that was like his kryptonite in a way. I wanted him to get tested, so we were working it, but after that fight, he's already been back in the gym and he's like extremely motivated, I can tell.
And this is Bo. What's his last name?
Longnecker. Him and his
Longnecker.
brother.
Yeah,
Jackson.
yeah.
Jackson
I think I
just
follow him
won,
on the
too.
gram and talk to him a little bit
I know.
before.
They're
So.
good kids.
How old is Bo?
Bo just turned 20. Jackson is 21.
Okay.
Jackson, I've only been with for like 8 months. But he's a straight dog. Like, when we went up and he was sparring at Myriad that one day, I remember Kingry hit him with some overhand, and then Jackson just took it, bounced back, and then just whacked him. Like, and gets dominant on it. Big brother mentality or whatever.
There's also a big difference between, like, you got to decide if you want to be a tough guy or if you want to be a real martial artist.
Yep.
A lot of times we've been stuck in, like, tough guy mentality and fighting each other and this and that. Like, the tough guy thing will not get you where you need to go because you end up becoming a real athlete, dialing in, running routes, running plays,
Yeah. That's why I'm big on, like, being loose when you're hitting, like, or striking or doing anything. Because if you're, like, super tense all the time, like, your body gets exhausted.
Yeah.
And feints and movement and being weird was how I was always winning fights. I'd, like, you make the other guy react, like, by nervous twitches, like that little, oh, what's up? Gets them to react for a second. Over time, that starts wearing them out more. And then at that point, you start getting their timing. So
you're collecting data, I call it.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, that guy moves that way. So then you can see him slowly break if he's not hitting you too. So normally in my first rounds, I'd always just move around, just hit a jab, move around, maybe a leg kick. Then it's normally the second fight. That's when I know where the guy is.
Second round.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny because I kind of start my match just slow. Like, I'm usually never in the running for fastest sub because that tells me I'm making myself vulnerable by just running out there and doing something. And
you never know what the other guy has.
Jake, you kind of start slow, and like I was watching with Phil, your last fight, and I was like, oh, he's got this. It's okay. Like, he's getting data, he's collecting it. Like, you're out there just kind of standing straight up, throwing straight punches, and anybody that thinks that doesn't work should see new UFC champ. What's his name?
Strickland.
Oh my God!
And that kind of reminded me of your style too. But yeah, you kind of
just sat down
picking
on
your
that
shots,
one.
and then I was telling Phil after the first round because I don't know if you won that first round. I don't think so.
Yeah, Luke's tough. He just throws a lot of leg kicks and moves.
But like I was telling Phil, I was sitting there telling Phil, like I was right by your opponent's like fan base going nuts, and I was telling Phil, I was like, he got his data. He's gonna take him. I'm like, I've seen him a lot of times start slow, this and that. He's like, oh man, he's not doing this, he's not doing that. Like Phil always comes out guns blazing. I'm trying to teach him that this sport
to
has.
Breathe and
he's teaching me to push harder, and then I'm teaching him that this sport has rest notes. And like if you're looking at a sheet of music, the rest note's still a note. Mm-hmm. The note is still a note. That's the timing, right? They were talking about.
Everything is 100 miles.
It's not time to kill right now.
You have to know when to pull the trigger. Yeah. And like especially I've noticed like as you get higher level, like you can't make any mistakes.
Exactly.
Like, you make one mistake,
so then you're on the plane home like an idiot. Like,
fight IQ.
So sometimes you just have to start the match slow and like you said, just collect the data. Like stay defensively sound, see where the openings are, and then once you see them, then it's like pull the trigger.
And as we all know, we got the killer instinct like at the same time, but we've learned that over time because I make one mistake and I'm on the plane home like fuck.
Yeah,
like, fuck.
One tiny mistake. And it's like, so you're trying to be a little more conservative early on, trying to be tactical. And it's definitely key to, I think, doing well at the higher levels, but also key is if you see that opening early, randomly, and you pounce on it too. Like you see, quick. Every once in a while you do see something and you go, huge problem for that guy. You maybe collected one data point and you're like, it's over for this dude. I'm sending him home on the plane feeling like a dope, not me.
Oh, he's lazy with that hand. Then you just mix it up.
Like human chess, bro. It's crazy.
I know.
Yeah, but unlike chess, we can go for checkmates earlier. But we can learn from chess because they set it up more than we do.
Yeah.
Exactly. But like, unlike chess, the one difference I ask people, do you know the difference, chess and jiu-jitsu? Or MMA?
I don't know that.
One is energy expenditure. That's what usually
Oh,
leads
well,
to
that,
that point.
yeah.
But and you got to manage that over time and be tactical with
Yeah.
your energy use. But a big one is the chessboard never resets.
That's true.
So the chessboard never goes back to a whole row of pawns. They have a whole row of pawns. You have all your pieces. They have, but you may have worked for 5 minutes to pass a guard, get mount, get their back, and then they escape, and you're both standing again.
You're tired.
Board's reset.
Yeah.
The energy aspect is one, and the other is the board's reset.
Yep.
Anytime the board
yeah.
can just reset.
Yeah. Nervous energy takes over sometimes too.
And then you got to start in on that first pawn move that everybody makes. So you got to start in on the basics again and start making your moves.
Yeah, I've held my breath one time in my one pro loss and stuff, one of them. And I remember going, like, I thought I dropped the dude. Like, he was done. I was beating the crap out of him. His face was all messed up, and I was like, I won, yeah. And I was just picking it up, and then he wouldn't go down, like, at all. And I remember, like, I started gassing out, and he was still up, and I'm like, oh, no, that's not good. Held my
then
breath,
you get worried.
and then he just runs into me, and I fall down. I'm like, oh, God, that's not good either. Hit me with some, or he got me in a rear naked. But I didn't tap. I was just like holding it kind of waiting because I heard the 10-seconder. And it was going dark for a split second. And then, yeah, got up, went to the stool. I could barely walk. Like, my brain was like, that extreme fatigue is like intense. And I had to get on the IV drip afterwards because I couldn't even, after I got up from the stool, like I literally just fell down in the fight. Like he came at me, I just, like my body gave out.
Was that the most tired you've ever been?
Yeah, I've never, that was awful.
The most tired I've been is I just got over COVID.
Oh, yeah.
And I was doing a tournament. Other people dropped out because of COVID. But I was doing the Subspectrum Absolute. And I really wanted to bring home to the city of Des Moines one of those Absolute titles. And I lost to Austin Baker. I was like, I'm going to, like, I got second. And I was like, I'm getting close. And I was like, this is my day. And someone else woke up and said, this is his day too.
Yeah.
But,
I think another guy's doing the same.
So me and him
mindset.
met in the finals, but I had 2 heavyweights. And then it was time to take on my third. He's not quite a heavyweight. He's like 205. Well, I think he walks at maybe 215.
Damn.
But then I had a 13.5-minute war, and I'm out there in overtime going, I'm doing it today. And then I went to the back room, and my arms were all floppy.
Yeah.
I was dead.
Yeah.
I had redlined my body, and I just gotten over being sick and this and that. Luckily, I had been working with a personal trainer, Josh Setledge, out in California for 2 years. So like that really helped me with my conditioning. But like, I went out. I had one guy in my weight class, and then I faced him and beat him in overtime. I was beating him up the whole time, but he wouldn't go away. I kept taking his back.
Oh, he's one of those guys.
But then it was like overtime. I didn't score any back points because I had it before points started. And like, so like, then in overtime, I only went to overtime because he thought the match was over, and I hit a wrestle up on him when he looked back at the clock, and I was like, straight rules, bitch. And then I sent it to overtime, and then I ended up getting another wrestle up off a leg lock entry and just barely won it. And they were like, you got to do 2 out of 3 with that guy.
Oh my God.
And so I was like, okay, because I want my gold medal. But literally, like, Phil was picking up my arm, and my whole body had ended up dying. Like, my whole body was not responsive.
Yeah.
I was laying down.
You couldn't
and they're like,
move,
sit up.
right?
I was like,
needed
my
a
body's
sensu
not
being
responsive.
Like I was puking and everything. I was passing out. Like, yeah, that's you were at the same point then. It's not fun.
Yeah, that was three heavyweights, one an overtime war where I was like, I have to win this for my city today.
Body literally gives
And
up.
then had another overtime match with somebody that I couldn't put, and I was trying to choke him the whole time. So then everything went.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the most tired you've ever been, you think?
I mean, a lot in the gym.
Probably in the gym.
Yeah, a lot. I would say most of them have been in the gym. Just crazy training sessions. But
It will happen.
I can't remember.
Eventually. You'll feel it. It's like
I mean, I know exactly what you're talking about. I've been there for sure. Yeah.
It's not.
I don't try and train there routinely, training wise, because it'll fuck my immune system. It'll just fuck you up too long, too much recovery.
Like I got too dizzy. I was like, my eyes were blacking out.
It's not a training place to be in. It's a redlining place.
Spot.
You're not actually getting more conditioned or anything, but
you're getting kind of you're destroying your body for a second.
Your body,
because you're holding your breath and just going a million miles. It's like times and places for those, I guess.
Well, that's when to do it, and definitely you can have these hard sessions in the gym. We've all been there, but like
knowing when to let them get their conditioning.
Yeah, Phil was about to win the 185 fucking subspectrum belt, but he kept training harder. Like I said, I'm trying to teach him that, like,
There's different tempos.
yeah, like he's the week of, at that point, on a Sunday, the competition's on Saturday. He said, this comp class, I'm going to stay out the whole time. He made sure I was at comp class. I was like, I don't know. He's like, I need you there. Like, I'd been training with him multiple times throughout the week because I was just like, okay, you're going to win the first subspectrum title out of our gym, so let's do it, like the pro title. And then he's like, I want you there at comp class. I'm like, fine. And then he got hurt rolling with me, throws his rib out because he's too tired to be out there anymore.
Yeah.
He's been, not only comp class already makes you want to puke at the end, but he shark tanked himself the whole comp class.
You can't just keep going at that pace.
Yeah.
So he,
Your body
eventually
will
his
give
body
out.
broke somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like, and there's like, you
And
know, you
then
want
I
to do it at
broke
the right
it, so I
time.
felt awful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
On
I'll
an
go-
underhook, on a fucking underhook, right?
Dude, Argo had that same thing. Like, he had a seizure when he was getting his haircut on Tuesday, the week of his fight.
What was that from? Was it from the cut?
Cutting
or-
weight and just working out 3-4 times a day. Like,
We got to
crazy.
taper. We got to
I
learn how
know.
to taper right. You know?
Yeah.
And the guy that I told Phil, I said the guy that deadlifted 5,000 kilos or 500 kilos for the first time ever, and they thought humans couldn't do it, like the 4-minute mile type thing. That was a few years ago, and his heaviest lift was 466 before he did 500, because at 500, he almost died. He was bleeding internally. He was bleeding through his eyes.
That doesn't sound
He was on a stretcher IV, like you were talking about. So what I tell people is sometimes you need that moment. Definitely at trials, I've been there, and I kind of, anytime you're at trials, and then that's the time to do it.
Yeah.
That's the time. It's not the time to do it in the gym and try and deadlift the 500 pounds before you, or 500 kilos
Yeah,
before you
that
go
can
deadlift it that week.
destroy you.
So his body, he couldn't even train for months.
Oh, it wears you down.
This guy destroyed his body for the sake of moving humanity forward in a way, you know, like fucking astronaut.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. That's that.
yeah. I feel like that intense training is like, I usually try to get it in at least a few weeks out, and then like that week
Feel
of the
it.
match, you kind of have to start to taper off.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think everybody's body's different too. Like, I
Skin's
start to
the-
taper down
yeah.
like the week of. I still go like decently hard. And then usually, like, if I'm competing on Saturday, like, I'll train Wednesday, maybe some on Thursday. I just need, like, 1 or 2 good days of, like, rest. And then I feel like I'm ready to go.
And that's where you're at, and that's where I see some younger guys at. Everybody's body's different. People's age different, too.
Right,
Yeah.
right,
Like, as I'm getting closer to 40, like, I'll take that whole week, please.
right.
But the week before, that's when I get my last hard rolls. And
Yeah.
I've been watching the intensity because I can train more if I keep the intensity right. It doesn't have to be high intensity.
Exactly,
It
yeah.
doesn't have to
So, like,
be like
I only
crazy.
need one set of hard rolls per week. Everything else could just be situational drilling, talking almost through things and walking through things.
Yeah.
And then once a week, I just need to feel a little bit of heat, you know, or even just a few situationals can almost be. But
Yeah, that push.
I do like one comp class or one open mat that I go hard. Other ones I'm just working on getting better, because you have to train to get better,
Yeah.
and that's different than training like high intensity, like you're fighting like tooth and nail to win every exchange.
Yeah, because you're not going to win every exchange most of the time. Like, shit happens. Like, the other guy's doing the same thing, you know?
So it's
Trying to
even
be
better
good.
to train like that too.
Yeah.
Like I'll let somebody, I won't tell them when it's happening,
Get in situations
but
that are bad.
I just let somebody pass my guard. It was, maybe I could have done 2-3 more retentions, but it's like they passed it. Now I'm working from here. I'm just training to get better. You know,
Oh, yeah.
I'm not trying, like, if I got into a war with Jake right now and I'm seated guard, he's standing, we could spend 5 minutes of him just like shoulder checking me and me just like grabbing at a leg, or just, and it would be nothing happen unless like I'm training to get better.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to try a little bit more experimental stuff that needs to get better. I'm going to throw some spice in, and then you got to learn how in competition to rein that in,
Yeah.
For sure.
how much risk to take. It's all just risk trade-offs at that point.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how it should be in the training room. Is like, those are the times to experiment and try. That's the only way you'll ever get better at a new technique. If you just do the same techniques over and over because you know you can win the match or that roll with that or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, like sometimes you just got to experiment. You'll, you know, like you said, you'll get your guard passed, or you might end up in a bad spot.
Then you work there.
But then you start learning, and then you work from there. And then, yeah, then when you compete, it's like you bring in the whole strategy, and you know, like, all right, these are my good positions.
Yeah.
I've been working this the last month, but I don't feel quite comfortable yet to try it today in competition. Maybe if it's there, but yeah,
You
I
kind
feel
of
like that's
patch up your weaknesses and
Yeah.
move with what you got. But I kind of been doing a little off season right now where I'm just trying to explore and get my jiu-jitsu better, get my strength and conditioning better. But like I got the data from 5 competitions I did all in the first half of the year, you know,
Yeah.
collecting that. And yeah, we learn from each other by training like that. Just like when I was fucking you up in that stand-up exchange. Remember that? We were just doing stand-up training.
oh yeah,
I was dominating you the whole
yeah,
time.
yeah,
Wink,
man.
wink. Just kidding.
Those spinning wheel kicks, bro.
Spinning wheel kicks I was
yeah.
hitting. Yeah, the axe kick broke his collarbone.
Oh
Like
yeah,
that, so-
those hurt.
Dude, that was cool to see you with gloves on though. And like
I know,
that's
yeah.
one thing I like too is like seeing jiu-jitsu guys willing to do some striking because and you know it because you've done MMA, but like I will say like yeah, if you're just a jiu-jitsu guy, like it's you know, I think a lot of times jiu-jitsu guys get too comfortable or thinking like that they and like a real fight scenario is
Oh,
going to
yeah.
be way different, bro. Like jiu-jitsu is good against like people that are untrained, but if you run into somebody who's got a little bit of wrestling, a little bit of boxing, a little bit of jiu-jitsu, even if you're like way higher level jiu-jitsu, it's gonna be a really hard fight if you
They can
get in a
stuff
street
and then
fight.
keep it in their game. That's what they look for too.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I looked for since you guys are the grapplers.
Like
Y'all were my
keeping it in your
yeah.
wheelhouse.
You
Keeping
guys,
the
I
fight.
had to get better at wrestling because everyone would take me down. I had no wrestling. I was not athletic or had any hips.
Yeah, and really that's for any combat sport, you know. In like a real fight, you know,
Oh yeah.
there's so many variables and, you know,
Oh, yeah.
that's why I think it's good to get out there a little bit and, you know, try different arts, see what it's like. Because I know there's a lot of jiu-jitsu guys, they've never done striking. And
Yeah.
then you kind of have this perception or this image of what you think it's like. You know, and it's like your first day jiu-jitsu class, you show up and you just get smashed.
Yeah.
Like same thing for like boxers or kickboxers. Like
Oh
if
my God,
you've never been to a grappling gym and then you go in there and you train, it's like you just feel like you're drowning. You're like,
I think
Oh,
you
you
learn
get
more
overpowered.
training all of it too, at least to some small degree, because
Yeah.
there's this transference learning of like learning the timing and striking. Like I started
Yeah.
saying, oh, these strikers, this is after my MMA career because I was never a great striker. But I started going, oh, these strikers are using jiu-jitsu kind of, you know, like
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
setting
like-
it up for
yeah,
like, it's
like
like
we're learning
yeah.
how the body moves, like the movement patterns, like you're still learning.
There's a
Yeah.
reason why you throw like a 1-2 something, you know.
yeah, and you can see it when like different high levels, like when Johnny Case is explaining stuff like with the striking, I can just see he's like his brain is working on a whole different like chessboard. Like he analyzes the striking like how we see jiu-jitsu, like
Yes.
every little detail, and it's like he's doing everything for a purpose and throwing it this way because of that, and it's all just so fluid and
I started learning from strikers too, like that some of my things I do are like jabs.
Yeah,
You know,
that's like
Yeah.
number one thing
It's like
to
I'm
do.
doing this because it's jab, and that's gonna then set up this whole chain of movement on them. that
Perfect
sets
the
me up.
basics, basically.
Yeah.
dude, and that's why martial
Basics
arts
win.
is like the dopest sport on earth, bro, because there's no end to it. There's always another level, another sequence, there's always something you could get
And
better at.
like
Someone
I
can
s-
throw some crazy stuff and it works.
Like I said,
Yeah.
it forces you to always question what you know, and this is why there's so many cool, open-minded people. Like whenever I say I need to
Yeah.
go find cool people, and I'm out traveling, it's like go to the jiu-jitsu gym, like because we keep getting that humility, we get humbled, we don't know it
Yeah.
all.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
it's just constantly reinforcing that, and only now are we seeing this renaissance of real martial arts
Yeah,
around here. So even the casuals that are jumping on board that don't want to go and compete at high levels, they are also taking these lessons of like that we've learned from martial arts, because now they're training real martial arts. There's been decades in this country of just
Yeah.
fake martial arts.
fake martial
yeah.
arts.
And so like people are like, should I take my kid to a taekwondo? La, la? And I'm like,
Yeah.
take them to a jiu-jitsu class. Why would you waste their
See?
time
Yeah.
on something they can't even use?
Like if you're gonna
Yeah,
learn a
you don't
martial
send them
art,
to dancing if you're going to send
It's
them
like-
to taekwondo.
if-
Yeah.
if you're just looking for discipline,
Yeah.
you know, it could be anything.
If you're just looking
Woodworking,
for
like,
moving.
Yeah, there's good move techniques, but the whole like aspect is just straight karate.
Well,
It's
they
like-
became cult like some of the jiu-jitsu gyms.
Yeah,
they're
dude, it's
becoming-
such a
it's very
shame
it
to
was
see.
but
watered
they
down.
did it. They
for a
did
while.
it to the whole like that would happen to jiu-jitsu just like it happened to taekwondo and other things. It would die in this country off of
Oh, yeah.
egos. Egos are killing
It's
martial
karate
arts.
school versus one.
Yeah, and so like now that we have this real martial art and this real kind of cross training and always learning from other people and stuff, the casuals are benefiting off that too. Like the people that just want to hang out and do this and that, and they're actually able to learn something that can help them on the street for real. And the world is kind of crazy right now, if you didn't notice. So like,
it's pretty wild.
Yeah.
wanting to know how to defend yourself is definitely a life skill.
Dude, I don't know why everybody wouldn't want to train, you know, especially like, I mean, women for sure. It's a great thing because they need to learn to defend themselves. But then even as a man, it's like,
if you're people will take advantage.
Take advantage of you. It's better for your health.
Me
like,
as a head of household, I got my
husband,
I got my 3 angels, and I'm gonna fall on that knife literally if I have to.
Like if you ask anybody's wife, like, would you prefer your husband to not train, or would you prefer if your husband knew a combat art? Like every single wife or woman out there is gonna say, like, I would love it if my husband knew how to fight. And I feel like as men, we all know that.
They're attracted to protection. They're attracted to providers.
They love it. Yeah. And we all know that, you know? And I feel like you have to make that decision as a man. Like,
world's crazy anymore.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, especially in Des Moines now. Like, some of the places, like... So I did night shift security in, like, the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
That was awful. It's very awful. Like, I only got paid, like, $17 an hour. I was getting shot at and everything. We didn't even have bulletproof vests.
Dude, especially nowadays.
Dude, it was insane, like... when COVID was going on, like I was finding people every day there.
And I like Des Moines. Like I'm gonna keep staying here. And
this area.
Thing
nice.
is, this area is nice too. But like Des Moines in general, so far we're kind of in a red state. We haven't defunded the police. And others like Minneapolis. I don't even visit Minneapolis.
Oh, dude, we just did a move up to St. Paul. It was homeless people everywhere. It was terrible.
And so this is what happens with bad policies and with weak men. I'm not kidding. It goes down to weak men ultimately too.
Absolutely.
And weak people like letting this shit happen to where they think, again, they're so privileged. They think we can defund the police.
Oh man,
you're privileged as fuck to say a
to
statement
say
like
my dad was a cop for like 30 years.
Yeah, and it's
he
like
retired from
like so. Then you got Chicago is lost.
Oh my God.
New York is getting 7,000.
San Francisco.
You go to the big cities.
New York is lost. San Francisco's lost. Minneapolis is lost. And so Des Moines, I'm hoping, like literally how we got Karsten and some other cool people who I'm now linked up with business wise. Anthony, who was on episode 2 on here, and like it's improved my life that they came here, but they fled, you know, the shit that was going down in Portland. Like this
it's so bad.
So it's like Des Moines hopefully will keep
the same too,
staying reasonable. Like I say, it's a red state, but it's like not
the world's
some
so crazy,
hard red this and that.
But
it's just
thank
it's
God
red enough
that it is
for us
right
to
now.
be like,
I'm
like happy that it is.
Yeah.
So that we have basic freedoms, basic rights. We can protect ourselves. Try that in a small town. You know that song?
Yeah.
Try that shit in a small town. Like people still look out for themselves a little bit here. People look out for others. They'll say hi to you on the street. So we got that
Anywhere else it's different. It's like survival at that time.
Yeah, we're not going to let it get that bad here.
No, that's what I like.
Dude, and it's almost crazy too because you look at the policies and the things that are happening in those cities. And like, I don't know about you guys, but when I look at it, it's like, it almost seems like this is being done on purpose. And then you got to ask yourself, like, what does that mean?
Yeah. I know.
That means that we got some bad people.
Because look at when we've been fucking around the world. We've been creating these, and then people profit off that. The military-industrial complex,
they're making so much money.
Oh, yeah.
So ask yourself, who makes money off us being sick?
Yeah.
Well, this will really get me off YouTube.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Who profits off getting us sick?
I know.
Right? Who profits off of the $1 million who makes the $1 million for each kid that transitions their gender?
Yep.
Medically.
Yeah.
And then who benefits when you have literally weaker men or men turning into women and this and that? That's always been a thing, and we're open to all that. Like we don't hate on any. We're not phobic.
I'm open-minded.
If you're an adult and you want to do
whatever you want,
but
you start tracking all these reasons. There's an open border now where there's thousands and thousands. The border patrol's almost revolting because they said like they were like revolting in a video I saw. They're like, we can't do our jobs.
Oh,
we're not border patrol. We're just escorting people in.
Yeah, and they do a lot of those.
Why is all that connected to me? I think we kind of know why that's all connected because in that chaos, people are making money. Out of your sickness of your body, people are making money.
Yep.
So that's what it ties back to.
Yeah.
Well, evil people because they started just seeking money for its own ends. And that's a losing game.
Yeah.
It's crazy, bro. Like the pharmaceutical companies are just out of control, dude. Like there's only two countries in the entire planet that allow pharmaceutical ads on our television. And U.S. is one of them. It's U.S. and New Zealand. And then you got to ask yourself, like, why is it outlawed in every other country across the globe? You know, because you shouldn't be pushing all these random pills and drugs on our on our television just on the daily, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it just normalizes it, you know. It's like for me at least, you know, I don't want to take any pills or anything like that. I like the natural remedies, and you know, like certain things, like if you get, like I had staph, I had to take antibiotics, you know, like things like that are different.
Well, like depression is real. Like
Yeah.
I've had depression. Depression sucks. It's like you're in a dark hole of despair.
It's terrible.
And fucking
I think like
you can't get out of
exercise
it,
is one of the best.
But doing all the things right alleviates so much of it.
Yeah.
And you know what those right things are.
Right.
It's the basics of diet, sleep, this, that,
and
this, that.
And it takes a little bit of effort, right?
It takes effort.
You gotta,
takes discipline.
Exactly.
just sit
The easy
around
way
all
out is
day.
just to take the pill, but then
And if you need it, okay.
Yeah.
But the point is, the medical establishment only has two solutions that they profit off of.
Yeah.
Pills and surgeries.
Yeah.
So what are they going to always tell you when you go to the normal medical establishment? So like I'm
Here's
seeking
a
out
pill.
knowledge now from other places, just like cross-training, you know, discussion. Like I'm getting and learning more about my body, learning how it responds, what it responds to.
Yeah.
Like it's a, like I talked to Matt Coder, who was on episode 3 about yoga stuff and working on my mental health on that side. The physical health ties into your mental health. This ties into, like, just learning from everybody. Like Ryan, I was talking about Superhuman Labs. Like he's on the cutting edge, learning new things, how to heal the body. Our body can heal itself, regenerate. The knees over toes guy teaching us the old dogma of not putting your knees over your toes actually was making people get more knee injuries.
Yep.
So now I'm doing that shit. So that's why I can still stay in the game this long. And so these alternate methods that went against orthodoxy, he had to get hundreds of thousands of followers on Instagram before anybody actually like, okay, now this guy's the new authority on this. But the new authority just arises. And in the same way, the new martial arts scene is arising, whether the old guard likes it or not. Mm-hmm. If you're an old school gym, like if you keep that mentality, it's time to change or die. Everything's evolving.
Yeah.
Adapt or die. And the new leaders of tomorrow are people that are seen as idiots and rebels today.
Yep.
And we're not afraid to be those idiots and rebels. I'm not afraid to be the idiot in a jiu-jitsu class with a black belt, ask questions. There might be a purple belt teaching class that day. I'll ask some questions. I'll follow up. I'll learn something. I'll take something from it.
There's new stuff every day.
And so that's what it teaches us. Open-minded, open heart.
Yep.
Love everybody, respect everybody. You can learn from everybody.
Yep.
Obviously, some people are so low vibe, they don't deserve any of your time at all. You got to just cut them and be done with them.
Don't even deal with that type of energy.
But this is like, seems like what the theme of this podcast was about, basically.
Yeah.
It's about, one, too, is having that discipline. Like, that's a life-changing life hack, too.
Yep.
But being open-minded and questioning what you know, like the ego, is not like, we all have big egos.
Mm-hmm.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's great. That's what keeps me wanting to win a match when I'm in it, because I'm the person trying to win it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, as a competitor, you need that ego, that self-belief.
Yeah, but like the ego of like the fear-based ego versus the love-based ego.
Completely different.
Completely different.
That's a great point right there. That's a great point.
Yeah. And understand you can get beat too by anyone. Like, it's like
Yeah.
there's someone that knows something or is doing something to beat you, type of thing.
Yeah.
Especially if you're fighting. Like,
You'll destroy your own mental health in that fear mindset.
yeah, exactly.
But just knowing that humility.
That's how you get yourself like to not be bad there.
Yeah.
Like, you know, weaknesses and stuff.
Yeah, and I think like knowing that like, you know, the techniques are for everybody. Like I think there's a issue too where like certain schools, they think like these are their techniques, like they learned it from their professor who learned it from this guy who learned it from that guy, and they passed it down. And if you want to learn those techniques, well, you got to come into our doors, pay this membership, and then we'll show it to you. But I like the fact now that nowadays we're seeing like we do it a lot at our gym in Ames, but also at like Pedigo, like they're a world-class gym, and they'll just release content for free on YouTube.
Oh yeah,
like badass techniques that like other gyms would never dare release
this.
Or like we did that leg lock seminar with you, and we dropped it for free.
And I even talked about it on YouTube.
Yeah.
On that seminar on the Myriad page, if anybody wants to see my leg lock seminar, like I talked about it right there. There is no secret techniques. It belongs to all of us. It's a body of knowledge.
Yeah.
You know?
And by sharing it, it's like everybody gets caught up on everything, and then it pushes the entire sport up.
And what
because everybody gets
what
better.
I said is it ends up being not who knows more, but who put the time in.
Exactly. And that's what it's all about, is the hard work and the discipline. You know, it's not about knowing these techniques. It's about like how you apply yourself and how you live the lifestyle, you know. Like you could have all these great secret techniques from whoever you learned it from, but if you're not actually in there working hard and, you know,
You gotta be
being
obsessed.
disciplined. Yeah, I mean, I'm a firm believer in like hard work is the king of everything.
This is such a controversial message these days.
This is,
Yeah.
That
I am a
you
firm
can
believer
own-
on hard work.
Just take extreme ownership. It's not your parents' fault. It's not
Yeah.
their fault. It's not this fault. It's not society. This,
It's
that.
victim mentality
You know,
stuff.
Ago's got $17 in the bank account. Did he say
Yeah.
I'm a victim before that fight?
Oh,
Did
we
he
were
say
no, we
I'm
were
this and
thriving
that?
out there. We know.
No,
how to
he's
hustle.
living it up and saying I'm gonna fucking do this because he knows there's a dog inside of him.
Yep.
And if we can all attach to that, and if especially men, but everybody can attach to the fact of discipline is the key. It's like
Oh,
the
yeah.
ultimate life hack.
Yeah.
Get up and do that shit you don't want to do, and then all of a
Yeah.
sudden it becomes easier, becomes your lifestyle, becomes your identity.
Yeah.
Your identity is what you always were
Gives
meant
you a
to be.
purpose, you know?
Yeah.
I couldn't even
purpose.
imagine living life like without discipline and hardships and hard work, you know,
Getting,
and things
like,
that are
this
difficult, you
routine
know?
type of
Well,
deal.
you either are growing or dying. Like,
Yeah.
And like I said with love versus fear, like love is literally growth.
Mhm.
And like fear, like I said, on the other side of your fear is your goals. Like
Yeah, exactly.
you just have to push through fear, not buy into it.
Yeah, you just
you know?
gotta like
And like,
do it basically.
and then there's
Go
growth.
for it. Yeah.
You know, yeah.
That's why I'm going all in on the whole like starting the fighting thing again in the gym. I think I got fired from my job like 2.5 months ago at some roofing place. So I'm just like, fuck it. We're just already broke. Wasn't making a lot of money anyway.
Put all your
Let's
chips
just
on
go
the
for
table.
it.
You
Yeah,
got
I'm just gonna
the
bartend a few
community
days a
around
week.
here.
Yeah,
Get the people connected.
yeah,
It's all your goals are on the other side of another person.
yeah. So it's just
Yeah.
like you gotta
Yeah.
keep pushing it. And yeah, I'm trying to help the guys like create their own brand, kind of like what you were talking about with that.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like you gotta have like, especially nowadays, like content is huge. Like if you're not doing something active, like the world's big and you, like not everyone cares about what you think. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So it's like you gotta make yourself known and build up that hype.
You don't exist these days if you're not making
Yeah,
content.
you don't.
Yeah.
It's just
Social media is
it's
the
literally
best
facts now.
ever free advertising marketing thing
yeah.
of
I
all
wish
time.
it was like that years ago when I was like first starting. But yeah, nowadays it's like easier to get somewhere if you build your following and
And
just
you can bring all that knowledge into like the Evo Fight Team, and you can
Yeah.
accelerate people on the business side, on this side, on that,
Mhm.
and like
I'm gonna have to make my own page for the Evo too, right? And like kind of split it
do
up.
that. Yeah. Yeah, you already got that messenger group you've been pulling people into,
Mhm.
all kinds of random people pulling into.
Yeah. So it's just like I need these guys to build their own identity
Mhm.
because you know everyone has their own like brand. You know, you can't be like the same.
One reason I knew to pick TOEHOLDyou as a personal brand is I'm doing that leg lock seminar for you, and some people just kept calling me TOEHOLDyou
Yeah.
because they just know the Instagram.
Probably
Oh,
people
I
that
was
just
like-
know you as that.
I was like, fuck it, I'm TOEHOLDyou.
it's a total.
Yeah.
And then
your
also
brand.
having another identity like that, like if you're the Bosnian Dragon, you're not Ago. Maybe Ago's scared that day. Maybe Ago's just not. The Bosnian Dragon doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
your identity is who you step into, and that's actually manifestation.
That's
Is
huge.
stepping into an identity, and then
Yeah.
all the success comes after that. So it's like
yeah.
having a brand of like, you know, I'm the milkman. Hey,
Oh, yeah, I used to
I'm
wear a
taking your
hat.
fucking milk money today. You know,
Yeah.
maybe Chance is feeling like not getting up and hitting that 5 mile run,
Yeah.
but the milkman fucking just does it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So when you identify with not a victim mentality, not a fucking weak
Yeah.
mentality, not a weak mindset of I can't do anything, this and that. Like when my life, I was telling you guys before this, like when my life felt like it was falling apart, I knew God was paving the path for growth for me.
Yeah.
Yep.
And all I could do to control, I couldn't control anything. There wasn't a spreadsheet I
Oh,
could
no,
crunch
it's like all at
fix.
once.
I couldn't stop my buddy from killing himself. I couldn't do nothing. Couldn't do
Mhm.
nothing at that point in my life.
Yeah.
But what I did, I tell people, you know what I did? They're like, what? I was like, I went to the gym and lifted weights.
Exactly.
Gets
Like
your
every
mind
time
back
my
in.
life starts getting difficult,
Yeah.
I just start fucking training harder.
Yeah.
I just start putting more hours in the gym, and then it works out. You know, like
Well, it's like, yeah, when I got my car repoed, I was literally 2 weeks before a fight, and that fight got canceled, so I just kind of like dropped off for a little bit, started working jobs because, you know, everywhere was closed. Had no money. I just sat on the curb for a while when they took my car. It was literally like 1 week behind, but because COVID came up, banks instantly took it. So I had no way to get to work, nothing. But, you know, now it's like that's why I'm going all in on this now. Like, I don't like that version of getting in that routine and mindset. Like, this martial arts world is more what I was, like, wanting to do my whole life. you know.
Discipline just lines you up with your true identity and who you're really. That's what this podcast, you see I have on there, Live Your Golden Timeline, and it's on the top of my Instagram. People still know what I'm talking about. I'm like, unlock your golden timeline. Like, live your authentic life, whether it's saying what you want to say, doing what you want to do. Abundance then comes because if you just can connect with other people, come in with some humility, learn from other people, you'll get all the leveled up you want. You come into people going, oh, I know everything, this and that. No one's ever going to teach you anything.
Yeah.
Yep. You're not going to level up. Fear-based mindset.
Yep.
You know?
That's true. You gotta be the first and not the... You gotta be the first of you type of thing.
Yeah.
Like you're first, not the last.
Yeah. You follow on the beaten path.
Yeah, if you follow like everyone that's done the same thing.
Did we come here all to follow the same path? You know, that makes no sense. Yeah, why would we even come here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The world.
And dude, I was watching a Khabib podcast with Khabib on there a few weeks ago, and he was talking about just, dude, I love the way Khabib's like their morals and the way he lives life.
Intense, yeah.
But dude, he was talking about how his kid is like 6 years old, and he was saying like he's never gonna make his kid like force him to do professional sports or something. But he said there's one thing that he is gonna make him do, and that's train martial arts and learn to be strong.
Yeah.
And dude, if we had that mentality in America, like as just like a whole, like, you know what I mean? Like, imagine how powerful our nation would be if we were putting that mindset into young boys at an early age, opposed to like the things that we're seeing going on right now.
Where else are they going to get discipline other than going being a pawn for the military industrial complex like I did?
And you need
to get some martial arts going.
Yes.
It's needed. Like this ties in everything. You know, we need that energy. We need that discipline. We need that learning from martial arts.
Yep. Absolutely.
And Khabib knows that.
Absolutely.
Whether he fights or not is irrelevant. He trains.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think it just
intense out there too.
And
their
super
training
intense.
Is like.
But yeah, I think it just creates the best version of anybody, bro. Like if you could take any individual, and you know, there's like two versions of you. That's the way I look at it. Is like there's the version of you that doesn't train and you just kind of sitting around living life. But then there's another version of you out there who's working hard, training, and that version of that person is always going to be the better version.
I agree. I was like, I had 2 years of like after COVID, just like going through those motions, you know.
Yeah, and like everybody's path's different too. Like some people, even if you just train like once or twice a week.
Yeah.
Like obviously everybody can't train like 6 days a week, but even if you just train like once or twice a week, but you keep that consistent for a few years, the growth you're gonna get from that is gonna be tremendous.
Yeah.
Like,
well, it's like coaching was that for me. Like I don't want, like I already pursued my fighting. I feel like I could, but.
Like now it's cool because you're like giving back.
Yeah,
like you went
that.
through the ringer, and now you're giving it back to the young guys coming up. Yeah. And we need more role models like in the martial arts world too.
For sure.
Because I can just see like how like Bowen Jackson and the younger guys like they look up to you.
Yeah, they brought me back out of my little shell I was hiding in.
Yeah. And they're helping you in return as well. So like you're building them up, but then they're also like sparking your fire again.
Oh yeah, it got me more motivated.
You know,
so I was just working out with Bo once a week. Back in the day.
Yeah.
When he first started bugging me and wouldn't leave me alone.
Yeah.
Kept texting me, hey Chance.
And I love your story about the bullying actually, because like I think there's a lot of guys who like they get really intimidated to come into gyms and train.
Yeah.
And like this is what mentality. I always tell people is like, dude, everybody gets smashed, bro. Like I've seen like 6'4" football players come in for their first time. They're getting smashed. Like everybody's gonna get smashed when you come in. Oh, yeah. But like if you like really make the decision and put in that hard work, like it doesn't matter who you are, how like much you've been bullied or how weak you like perceive yourself as.
Just go for it.
You've got to go for it, and you got to put that work in, and then there's a way better version of everybody out there.
I literally lived in the boxing gym when I was 16. I was like just driving there every day and then working out at Gold's Gym at 3:30 in the morning before school every day.
That's like discipline right there, bro.
I tell people like the reason I say golden timeline too is like imagine there's a multiverse.
Yeah.
Who's the best one of you out there?
Right.
Just go ahead and hop on that golden timeline, bro.
Yeah. And then you got to ask yourself like, am I doing everything that I'm doing that could be the best version of me, you know?
Yeah. It's a process. We got to forgive ourselves because we're not going to be perfect.
Yeah.
But that's part of that process too, you know?
Oh, yeah.
But having that aim of like, I'm going to be the best version of myself, that's wholly counter to the current narrative of why you're a victim. you're either born as the victim or an oppressor or in the wrong body or something.
Yeah.
Something's wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you.
Self-accountability.
Just live your best you.
Yeah.
Self-accountability, extreme ownership.
Yep.
Like, when I was having a tough time, what are the lessons I'm being taught right now? Why is this paving the way for growth for me?
Yeah.
I could have been like, this went wrong, that guy fucked me, this happened.
Oh yeah, there's
that
always
happened,
negatives and everything.
this happened,
It's just not-
those will cycle. But slowly, as you forgive, there's a fucking thing where there is this practice that these people have with biofeedback where they were increasing people's IQ 11 points on average. And it was mainly centered around forgiveness.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's so funny of yourself and of other people. Like, the people that bullied you, like I say, they're just reactionary trauma,
Exactly.
Yep.
you know, manifested into human form.
Yeah.
They're just karma in human form.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, you know, you're then looking back like, I don't know, can you look back on if your life flashed in front of your eyes right now, you know, you'd have some highlights, you know, what would those highlights be? And also could you kind of forgive yourself for the lowlights, and could you kind of see how it was part of your path?
Yeah.
Can you kind of see how you needed it now, do you think?
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
It's like, you know, I was really aggressive when I started boxing, but it was because it was that pent up, you know, trauma, anger. But
We've all been there.
Yeah.
This room, for sure.
Oh yeah. I think my first day boxing or sparring, after 1 month of hitting the bag, I like knocked out some grown man. I was like 16. He never came back. No, that's why they started training me down there. I was just very like.
And when we get people like that in today, I try and
Calm them
channel them right, like not cancel them out and tell them never come here, but like, hey, I can see you need this outlet, like don't finish heel hooks or something. Like,
definitely saved me.
People have fucked up so many times and then injure somebody because they didn't get that message fast enough. But like, you don't need to be the toughest man on the planet. You know,
exactly.
That's a losing game actually. But
that's why I'm trying to like work with the guy's emotions too, because emotions play a huge factor in how you fight. You know.
Yeah.
Like if you're super angry and just run straight in, you're gonna get hit. Your fight life's gonna be short. And if you're like scared, like there's certain ways to fight. Like fear, you know, you're always gonna be scared. It's like that's kind of how I fought when I was getting to the higher level. But
yeah, we learned a lot of these deep life lessons through martial arts, and martial arts used to be 1-on-1 with the spiritual practice. So I told people that we would be doing a podcast about martial arts, masculinity, spirituality, this, that, and then people are like, okay, they had no idea what that would look like. You know, I'm like, well, these are things that are all tied together. Look at today's discussion. This may be the complete best discussion I've had of even why I started this podcast, like in today's episode.
Yeah, and I think martial arts is one of the best ways, but I think also just like in general, like I think we have a lack of like putting the importance on exercise and like just basic nutrition, like in everyday life. Like I think those are two things, like, and like you don't really see it in the school system too much. Like most people don't even have a basic understanding of like just basic nutrition, and then the importance of exercise. And then of course martial arts is like, in my opinion, the best way to get that exercise.
Well, now it's body positivity and fatness is
okay.
Your doctor can't even ask you about your weight and say anything about stop eating all the Doritos.
It's crazy.
So you got to go back to the messaging too. Like, are they trying to make us strong?
And then what
are they trying to make us weak?
And then what does that
are
do?
They trying
again,
to control us?
That
feel
means
like
more health problems, right? If you're not exercising, taking care of yourself, you're getting overweight. All your risks for getting more
gut health and your brain,
your heart.
Who makes money off of that?
Exactly.
I'm never getting surgeries, right? I will if I need them, but
you know the difference.
I'm not on any meds or surgeries or anything for like years now. Who's making money off me they're making nothing off me.
Right.
Yeah, you know the difference when you're like eating like the bag of Doritos and watching like TV.
Oh, you can tell a huge difference.
Like I heard, it's.
But isn't weak people a lot easier to control? That's
exactly.
And that's something that
mess with your
call you a
stomach,
conspiracy
gives you health
theorist
issues
and this
and
and
stuff.
that. But like, isn't that obvious that weak people are easier to control?
Yeah, that's just an obvious statement. You know what I mean? That's just common sense. You know.
And then more fear-based people, which also correlates with weakness, are easier to control. Obviously.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah, it's crazy, bro. There's a lot of crazy things going on right now that is like, it's wild, bro. It's like it's almost like living in a dream, you know. It's like a lot of these things that are happening. It's like, dude, how is this actually happening, bro?
Just
like,
waiting for like,
you know, what's amazing? Like, I'm excited about what we're building.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Because
we're standing up to it all is so important,
and it can snap back quick too, because people get people put and no matter how you feel about Tate as a person, they put him out there.
Dude, I love Tate.
This will
bro.
get me
Kinda
kicked off
says
YouTube
real
too. I just
stuff,
got
though.
canceled
I love
18
Tate.
times in one podcast.
You
That's
did?
the new record.
You know what I mean?
We'll put the sign up.
There's people literally
But like,
that
Oh, you got-
look how he kicked off
Yeah.
a whole bunch of discipline in young men that they needed.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
it's like,
one person saying things. That's one the other reason we need to be making content is one person saying things lights up 100, lights up a million,
Yeah,
lights
exactly.
up 1,000.
well, especially in today's world too, with that social media being so big as it is, like, and it's just growing like
Yeah.
every day. I've noticed.
And that's an example. It's like, like I like Tate, but it's like if you don't like Tate, like that's fine. Just don't watch his content.
Yeah.
But like there's literally people that were like, they find out that you like Tate and then they're like, oh fuck that guy. Like
You
they want to
woman hater.
disassociate themselves with you just because they know that you like this
Yeah.
person or whatever. It's like same with like politics, it's like no matter what side you're on or who you're voting for, it's like I feel like you should never like treat somebody differently based on who they're voting for.
Mm-hmm.
Like same type of concept, you know what I mean? It's like if you're gonna treat me differently because you heard that I'm gonna vote for this candidate, then it's like I probably don't want to associate with you anyways if that's the kind of person that you
Another
are.
beautiful thing about martial arts that, again, I think they don't like, but I'm just saying, like, it's not, everybody's trying to be siloed off into red team, blue team, and all this and that.
Mm-hmm.
Martial arts. I just got done trying to choke you. I
Such
got
good-
respect for you. We're respecting each other
Yeah.
now. We just threw down, like, aren't our differences trivial compared to our similarities?
Right.
We've been talking about life and death here. We've been talking about martial arts. We've been talking about living your best life. None of that has to do with red or blue.
Right.
Yeah.
And people get wrapped up in it. They're literally opening themselves up to being controlled
Yeah.
by a team.
Yeah.
Whether it's your jiu-jitsu cult that you're in, if you're in one, that's
Yep.
a team. And it's
Mhm.
a us them.
Yep.
All the us them shit is garbage. And old
Garbage.
school thinking.
Yep, I
Yeah,
agree
it's-
100%. And like, yeah, bro, I think, I think like as a country, we just we need to look at the things the similarities and the things that we all agree on. And I think we need to try to come together as much as we can, whether, you're a Christian, Muslim, whatever, you're red, blue. And I think that's one of the coolest things, hands down, about martial arts, bro, is like the unity that it can bring of people of all different ethnicities, views. Like if you go to like any jiu-jitsu class on a given day, you'll see people from all different types but just martial arts just brings everybody
And
together.
how many things today actually bring us out of our house, because you need other bodies there,
Yeah.
in front of people,
No phones.
and
You
it
can't
doesn't
use your
matter
phone.
their background, this and that. You're just there to train. How many other things are like that in today's society? So
Not
how much
many.
do we need martial arts, guys?
A lot.
Yeah.
I put it at the top of the list, bro. I feel the same as Khabib. Like if I had a son today, I'm putting him in martial arts as soon as possible.
My girls are both training. Yeah.
You know?
They love
As
it.
soon as possible.
Nice.
And like, I mean, it could be, I think discipline's super important. There's other ways that you can get it, but I mean, there's just something about martial arts, bro. It's like, it's been around for thousands of years. I think it's kind of built inside of all of us as humans. Like everybody is fascinated with fighting. You know what I mean? If a fight breaks out, everybody in the area is like trying to see what's happening. You know what I mean? It's just like in our DNA.
Well, look at these monks that all trained, and yogis back in the day used to train martial arts. They were like, you have yoga for controlling your body and everything you can control, but then you have martial arts for any wild beasts, physical fitness for any wild beasts that may come your way, be it human or non-human.
Yep.
Just having an ability to keep yourself safe. Like, we're not born with giant claws and fangs and this and
Right.
that. Like, we got to actually know what we're doing.
Yeah.
And like anybody that's trained martial arts for, even just a year or two, like, like that feeling when you go out in public and you're with your wife or your girlfriend or your daughter, like there's that feeling where you feel more confident, like, okay, that guy over there on the other side of the room looks a little wild. I'm gonna keep an eye on him. But if anything does happen, you kind of start building a game plan. Like you feel more confident that you can handle a situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's like one of the best feelings.
Exactly.
And especially today, bro, it's like when I first started training, like there was like 2 gyms in Iowa. It was like, there was one in Ames that I was training at. It was like Des Moines Jiu-Jitsu and like No Coast. But today, there's so many gyms out here. It's like, really, there's no excuse to not be learning, Like, there's so many different options.
So if you're listening to this pod, get out training.
off the
There's
couch.
one person listening to it even before it's been released right over here.
Hey.
You gonna start training that? Brian's gonna start training.
Got to get on the mat, Brian.
Let's go.
Yeah. So, but yeah, he used to train back in the day, and he wants to get back in training. But I meet more and more people too that don't train, want to train. So if you're listening to this podcast and you don't train, let's go train.
Let's go train and try out different gyms too. You know, check them out, because all the gyms are different. There's, different, one gym might not be for you. Another gym might be a better fit for you.
Yeah,
so
big factor.
Very important.
Don't feel like don't let them tie you up. If it's a boss, if it's somebody that tells you can't cross train, if it's no matter who that person is, they're saying that out of their own self-interest. Do your thing, find the place, a good vibe for you. When people ask me advice, I say number one is just find the place, good vibe for you.
Yep. That's the
And
golden
like, wow, that's
rule
good
right
advice.
there.
Yeah.
If anybody ever tells you that you have to, that you are not allowed to go to any other gym, that should be the immediate number one red flag.
Mm-hmm.
Immediate red flag.
All right, guys. Good chat today. Fucking covered discipline, spirituality, martial arts. Learned a lot more about you, Chance.
Yeah.
I learned some things about you too.
Yeah.
I didn't know. It's like me and your dad were both in the 101st.
That's crazy.
Both in Iraq,
Cool.
4 years apart.
That's wild.
Weird to think. Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild.
So, but this is what the world needs: is more sit down, more open heart, open mind conversations, more living your authentic life, more living your whatever your golden timeline is. And like, I'm gonna keep following up with you, and we're gonna keep getting some training in, and we're gonna get. We're saying it now. It'll be like a time capsule we can go back on.
Yeah,
but
that's
when
true.
you see a bunch of beasts coming out of Central Iowa, don't be motherfucking surprised. I'm not surprised yet. But 5 years from now, when you see us win a UFC belt or some shit, or break through and win 80cc trials or some shit, don't be surprised, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Straight up, bro.
Facts,
Don't be surprised, because we're already working on it
It's
right
already,
now.
like,
We got a
developing.
nasty squad here in Iowa, bro.
Yes.
Iowa's tough, dude.
I know.
There's just a tough vibe about the Midwest, bro.
Yeah.
And it's just getting good.
I know.
It's just like this podcast.
Yeah.
Keep following. We're just getting there. We just got
Hell
shit
yeah.
on the walls. So thank you, everybody, for the support on the podcast. It's been like overwhelming. We're going to keep cranking these out. And I'm going to keep training. We're going to keep training. All this shit's just getting good. And we're going to keep following up with some content so y'all can check Evo Fight Team out. Check out Myriad. If you're not following their Instagram, follow Myriad on Instagram. Follow Just Jake on Instagram. Follow Chance the Milkman over here. And whenever you make that Evo Fight Team page, we'll be sharing that. We'll be posting stories, showing people what we're doing, motivating other people. They're motivating us back, learning back. Keep doing seminars and shit.
Yeah.
Let's keep pushing it, guys.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh,
Thanks for
yeah.
having us on, Jared.
Yeah.
Brian,
It's fun.
thanks for the amazing professional
You're the
setup today.
best, Brian.
Love doing it.
Love it.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
All right, peace out, guys.